Start streaming. It says, start streaming. Ready, go. All right, we're doing more Kubernetes Colearning today. Saturday afternoon. I try to do some of this every Saturday. I actually changed the schedule. So just to let you know, if you don't follow along, just go to the playlist on YouTube. There's a Colearning Kubernetes playlist there. You just scroll down through my main page there and you can find it. And so the new time is like 1 to 4. And the new time for Go programming Saturday morning is 9 to noon. So that gives us enough time to do that. And then if I ever cancel, make sure you check the schedule, so twitch.tv/rbxrob/schedule. You can go there and you can check everything out. Assuming everything goes well tonight, I'll be doing a little bit more Go programming tonight. And some Witcher at the end of the day, probably, just to end out the day. There's lots of other things going on that people like to watch at the end of the day, but it's kind of fun. So today, I'm about to embark in a rather significant tangent from where I was going before with my Kubernetes Colearning, and I'm just going to net it out right now for anybody who's watching so they can just make a judgment for themselves. I am not going to be following the Kubernetes.io stuff, the docs as we've been doing as we've been reading through it. I'm going to jump right into the process of making my own Kubernetes cluster using nothing but virtual machines. So this is triggered. I talked about this at length, probably too much yesterday or Friday when we did this, and that's all well and good. So it's mostly driven by the fact that I don't have an actual Kubernetes cluster to test. I have Kind and Minikube, which are both fantastic, but they're not enough. Micro Kubernetes is a completely different thing entirely. It's based on Edge. It's not for training or suit or anything. It's cool, but it's not for this. And I've actually been kind of inclined to build my own. Minikube kind of gave me the idea because of the virtual, the virtual server sort of thing. And I think that really, sealed the deal for me was on Thursday. Our etcd certificates expired, and I couldn't use kubeadm on my own Minikube to test it, nor could I figure out how to do it on Kind. And had I done all of like a real, Kubernetes installation, I would have been able to test those things and learn from them and everything. I just had to depend on what I could read and what I could test in our dev cluster at work. And I don't like being dependent on just my dev cluster at work in order to test out different things, particularly because I want to be prepared for the exam and everything. We have some people asking for advice. Yeah. I'm happy to answer your question about the best certifications. Are you talking about Kubernetes? Actually did a thing on certification if you want to do that. So that certify Kubernetes certifications, which and why. So I can give you that. So query. If you want to go, you can go take a look at that. That should give you, if you're going to be a jury engineer, get an A+ and go on with that. I actually recently did a blog about this, an entry. Titles for technologists, coders. I wouldn't go to college. This is the one to go see. I actually did a video on this, so go watch. I had a question. It's not related to Kubernetes. So this video, go look for the YouTube video. Search for colleges in my videos, and you'll find that video. If I were 18 again, I wouldn't go to college. It talks about the certs that I would get and how to get them, in what order I would get them. And that was validated by a bunch of other people that are professionals in this stream. In fact, I added the CCNA to it after talking with the people there. Those are my recommendations. If you don't want to go to college, you want to supplement that with junior engineering stuff. And it talks about my idea of what that means, as opposed to, the other stuff. All right, back to the Kubernetes stuff. Feel free to ask questions if you have a quick question that I can give you a quick answer to. If not, stick with it. Welcome everybody who's here. We have a number of people on YouTube as well. We did anyway. Looks like they left. Maybe they're all on Twitch now. Okay, so first things first. So today the number one goal is how do I simulate real Kubernetes with just a VirtualBox. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to be learning today that I don't know about, that I know of, but I don't know about deeply. So I'm going to go through those things. One of them is VBox Manager. So there's a thing called VBox Manager that I've been made aware of like this week or last week, and I never knew it existed. So you guys know about VirtualBox. I don't need to tell you about that, right? So, and all my stuff is off right now. So VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox. So this is it. This is VirtualBox. You can come in here. You can make your own images and stuff. You can install images from downloaded ISOs, which are images of USB sticks that originally were formed after CDs and DVDs. And then you've got, see, here's the ones I was in. Minikube actually creates these by default. Anytime you install a new when you do Minikube start-p with a profile, you get new ones. And these are off right now because those can be started with Minikube. Minikube actually does a lot of VBox Manager calling, and I wanted to figure out if I can do this from the command line, or if I actually can do it through here. Maybe make one that way, and then learn how to make one from the command line. Just in case you're wondering, I have no intentions of using Vagrant or Ansible or any of those things at the moment. At some point, I want to learn those things, but I don't want to put too many layers on me at the same time. Decided not to learn. Vagrant is a HashiCorp tool for to make really quick, environments based on YAML files that turn into virtual machines. If you don't know what a virtual machine is, we're not going to talk about that. A virtual machine is just a real machine that's virtual. You run anything on them. And then containers all share the same operating system. They're not machines at all. They're containers all on the same machine, but they can be made to seem like they're separate machines, doing something like what I call workspace containers. So I'm not going to be, not to learn Vagrant. I'm not going to be learning Ansible, or Ansible or Terraform, yet. Okay. So these are my favorite things to learn later on when it comes to infrastructure provisioning, but I won't be learning those just now. It's funny, we lost a lot of Twitch viewers. They're like, "Oh, cloud native. Oh man, I'm out of here." So yeah. So decided not to learn Vagrant or Ansible or Terraform. These are ways of like provisioning things really quickly. Maybe I should learn that. They are a part of infrastructure engineering. I just feel like it's too much right now. I'm going to go ahead and do the provisioning like by hand using I'm going to try to use the graphic interface. Decided to attempt use of VBox Manager instead of GUI, which I've never done. So that'll be one big step for me. Killed the stream and then left for 30 minutes. I didn't abruptly kill the stream. I said I was going to stop the stream. I'm talking, there were 30 people here just now when the stream started. And they came back in and then they left. Like, oh, he's doing this now. He's not doing coding anymore. I just think it's funny. Yeah. They already did. I don't stream for a number of viewers though. I just stream just cause, and this is getting saved. So that's not what drives me. How's it going, Andre, on YouTube? So decided to attempt use of VBox Manager instead of the GUI. Never used it. So let's go look at that. Then I have to decide, how should I provision this thing? Like if I were, I only have so many CPUs on here. So here's my NeoFetch. I only have 8 CPUs. I found out. I thought I had 16. I don't. Next year, probably, if things go well this year, my wife's, making more money, doing murals and stuff, which will, let some of my money free it up a little bit for other things. I probably am going to buy a Threadripper gaming system for next year. And because I want the Threadripper, I want to get at least 32 cores, maybe more if I can. I'm gonna allocate budget for that next year, but not this year. So this year I'm gonna try to do this without it, because I want to be able to do a bunch of like actual simulated environment stuff with the different control planes and different systems and SSH into them and everything on the same system so that rather than build a physical system, because I won't have room for a physical system. I don't have the power. I don't have the power grid in this apartment to do it. If I had to try to bring all like 32 Mac Minis and 30 or 40 Raspberry Pis that I have, and then like 9 GPU systems, three GPU systems, I'll probably blow the circuit here, even if it's a 20 amp in the apartment, and I don't want to do that. Go from 8 cores to 64. Yeah, I mean, the reason you need cores is if you're going to do any cloud native stuff, all the container stuff is all really, really intensive on the CPU stuff, CPU and memory. It doesn't, storage is a different thing. So if you really want to get into this career, the more cores, the better. And it's not just for cracking on stuff. It's like if you're hacking or something. It's because Kubernetes and containers in general are fundamentally based on cores, and so it's better to have VMs to test that kind of thing. And it also means you don't need to depend on the cloud, right? So you can just spin up a bunch of stuff locally, and you don't have to be paying money for whatever cloud provisioner you want to have. I'm not against cloud provisioning, but I would just as soon do it locally. And I would rather have that money and then use all that power to play games or something rather than, pay whoever for the cloud money. I have only 16 gig RAM, but that's fine. All right, so I'm gonna clear this out. So the next decision I have to make is how do you make one? And where do I learn about how to make one? Well, I have a feeling that that's going to be in Kubernetes.io. I've told myself I'm not using any resources that I cannot use during the certification exam. So I'm going to go here and learn that. And learn Kubernetes, create a cluster. Let's click on create a cluster. Using Minikube, interactive tutorial, creating a cluster. I don't know if I want an interactive tutorial. Difficulty beginner. The goal of this interactive is to deploy local development using Minikube. I don't want Minikube. Continue to module 2. No, don't want this. I don't want to use Minikube. I know how to do it with Minikube. I've done it already. So I want to do something besides that. Cancel. So this is using CodeKata, which I don't particularly want to use right now either. Interactive tutorial, creating a cluster. No. So I'm going to skip these. This is a little bit disconcerting because so far I haven't been able to find any information about how to create a cluster that's not Minikube or kind. I mean, the whole point is like providing a cluster, right? So I don't get it. Administer a cluster, learn common tasks for administering a cluster, configure pods and containers, manage Kubernetes objects. They're not objects, they're resources. They need to change that. I need to open a ticket on this. They're not objects. They're called resources now officially. Stop fucking calling them objects. You're confusing the shit out of everybody. No. Report a problem. I'm reporting a problem right now because that's a problem. Most of the other documentation and community are now referring to Kubernetes resources instead of objects for all the right reasons. My opinion. This page is a serious exception to that and perhaps should include an explanation for beginners so they can resolve the synonymous usage of resource and object of the words and an object out there in the greater that's all. I wrote an issue. Maybe they'll do it. I actually submitted an issue before and they responded really fast. They were really kind about it. So who knows? This issue is currently awaiting triage. Label can be added to our track. So yeah. This is why we don't learn anything new. We stay with the old stuff. I mean, I like that I was able to add a thing there. That makes me feel better. I like that they put feedback on the bottom of the page. That's really cool too. I got to take a note of that. That's really cool. Add description for tests. It even tells you what was last modified. That's super cool. The generation of the content here is pretty cool. It still doesn't help me though, because how do I, make a cluster? I don't get it. So install tools. I mean, seriously, if you had nothing but these tools, this site, I don't think you could make a cluster. I don't think you could do it. It doesn't tell you how. It tells you how to do Minikube. It doesn't tell you how to make a cluster. So tasks. You write a task page. Oh, I see. I might want to. This is a place that I'm gonna actually provide a lot of. You guys know that I've been kind of gearing up to become a part of the Kubernetes community, like a contributing member, and I want to do a lot of Go development for them as well. But this documentation page, I know that I can help them here, and I probably ultimately will do that at some point. So install the tools. Okay, we have the tools already. kubectl, which is still a pain in the ass to install. I'm going to tell you, is in Linux you have to have the script. You have to write the right one. Kind, Minikube, or kubeadm. You can use kubeadm tool to create and manage Kubernetes clusters. It performs the actions necessary to get a minimum viable, secure cluster up and running in easier, user-friendly way. View the kubeadm installation guide, which I do not have. It shows you how to install kubeadm. Once installed, you can use it to create a cluster. And I wonder if kubeadm operates in the same space as kubectl. I actually think it does. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's not the reason it didn't work. I wonder if I run kubeadm externally, I might be able to still use Minikube for all my certificate changes and stuff. Because it's confusing to try to understand the damn docs with all the conflicting between terminology equals give up. Yeah. And I don't want people to give up. I want people to learn this. So kubectl install guide. I've never done kubeadm, so this is brand new. If you have anything to offer, backseating is totally fine here. This is Colearning. This is good coffee. I don't know why it just comes in really good today. Installing kubeadm. I'm kind of excited. Why am I excited about Kubernetes today? Is it the coffee? Probably the coffee. Yeah. Installing kubeadm. This page shows how to install the kubeadm toolbox. For information on how to create a cluster with kubeadm, once you have performed the installation process, see the using kubeadm to create a cluster. Definitely bookmarking this page right now. Yeah, even though I got my Eskies on. My Eskies is making this difficult, but whatever. All right, that's fine. All right, as you were. Okay, so use kubeadm to create a minimal blah, blah. Okay. Come back to this a little bit later. Welcome. Thank you for the likes on YouTube. Appreciate that. Some people are liking my stream already on this. This page shows how to install a kubeadm toolbox. No idea how. For information on how to create a cluster in kubeadm, we already did that. Before you begin, a complete Linux host, compatible Linux host. Wait a second. You can only install kubeadm on a Linux host? True or false? True or false? You can only install kubeadm on Linux. It appears the answer is true. The Kubernetes project provides generic instructions for Linux distribution based on Debian and Red Hat, and those distributions without a package manager. I think we just got our answer. Screw you if you have Windows. My question is, okay, so only on a compatible Linux host. Yes, indeed. It has to be a compatible Linux host, yes. That's actually important because I'm kind of, one more like for me. Hey, thank you for that like. 4 watchers on YouTube. Yeah, I know you're not a lot, but I'm still happy. And the people come to the YouTube later after I watch. Yeah. Now I have 5 likes. No WSL. So, question, true or false? I can install kubeadm inside of the Minikube node after the fact, after I've got Minikube already on there. What's the answer to that? What do you think of that? I'm going to go test that right now. If that's true, if I can install kubeadm inside of Minikube, that might take me a little bit. I got to know this. I got to know this like right now. I have to know this. So How do I simulate Kubernetes distribution box? Right. Um, can I install kubeadm into Minikube node? So if you don't know Minikube, let's go start one up. Profile list. I forgot to turn these off yesterday, and I started Witcher, and my whole system just crashed because it couldn't do. I had two 2-core virtual boxes running, and I tried to run Witcher on an 8-core system. Did not like it. Dependencies for dependencies, yes. All right, so let's do this. So we're gonna go ahead and do. We'll pull up. I could probably kill random. I don't need it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. mk delete. Make sure you do your -p on this. Rando is now dead. Rando be dead. That was pretty easy, right? What's cool? Watch this. I go back to your virtual box. Where'd it go? It disappeared because it got deleted. The coffee's kicking in, I can tell. Also vitamin B12, which you can now get in lozenge form, in case you're wondering. So what are we gonna do here? We're gonna do mk start. Just start, and that's the default. The one that's on right now. So it's like spinning its wheels, and it's gonna come up. We're gonna connect to it with SSH, and I'm gonna see if I can actually install kubeadm as a package. I think I might actually be able to. And because it's just another node, right? There's no difference between any other Linux, so why can't I run it there? I think it's just not installed by default. That's my theory. My theory is it's not installed by default, but I could install it, and I may have misunderstood that. It's like most people don't want to run kubeadm in their Minikube. I'm like, fine. I don't know if kubeadm has to be run off of the... I mean, I don't know what the optimal situation would be. In my case, I had to log into one of our control plane node machines to run kubeadm, and I don't know if kubeadm was in addition to the control plane install that was installed. It seems to me, having read the instructions here now and more clearly, that kubeadm has to be installed, kind of like kubectl has to be installed. When you install Minikube, it doesn't install kubectl for you, right? So you can't... kubectl, by the way, can run any number of places. In fact, I think kubectl will even run under PowerShell, but kubeadm does not. In fact, let's figure that out. I want to learn this. This could be this is an interesting distinction between kubeadm and kubectl, because I get the feeling that people run kubectl all the time from Mac systems using Z shell and stuff, and those are not Linux systems. So because it's Go, right? At the end of the day, it's just Go. So I'm gonna look for that. Command line kubectl allows you to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, absolutely. Look, Linux, Mac, Windows. So I learned something. kubeadm and kubectl have different requirements. I'll put this in my notes. Definitely going in my notes. Learned kubectl can install on anything while, let's see, kubeadm only Linux. Okay, so kubectl can install on anything, kubeadm only on Linux. So that's cool. That's cool to know. So that means Go or Rust. Go depends on what you're coding. We're not going to fight about languages right now. You're probably on a programming language. I would definitely learn Bash first, because that's the language of coding. I mean, that's the language of the shell. And then I would learn enough C to be dangerous and understand pointers and memory management. And then I would learn either Go or Rust, but I would recommend Go because more jobs are in Go and more software is written in Go right now. That's my recommendation. If you want, you can stick Python in there somewhere, or JavaScript. Doesn't matter. If you want to learn a real language, though, I would start with C in a minimal way, because then your decision about Go or Rust will be based on the compatibility with C. Both of them are meant to replace it. You don't have to learn all of C. So like get head first C or some shit like that, just to understand pointers and memory. And then when somebody in Rust comes and tells you Rust is memory safe, you really like that. Like, what the fuck does that mean? And now you know, because garbage collection, you know what it means because you know about memory management because you just did it in C. Yeah. C was their first language. It says Fyodor Lapshin. All the Russians, C is always their first language. I swear to God, every time, I mean, I have a lot of Russian friends, right? Every time I talk to a Russian, their first language is C. It's almost always C. That says a lot, actually. So that's the first real language. Bash, I think, should be your first language technically. And because you use it every day, that means you're using Linux. And then C after that. C from the command line, by the way, not C from some fucking IDE. And then you don't have to go crazy with C, right? Enough to understand pointers and memory management. That's it. Just learn that, and maybe how to do a linked list if you want. And then set it aside, and then play around with Go, play around with Rust. Look at the applications of Go, look at the applications of Rust, and make your own decision. Boom. And now so there you go. Nazem was your first shit. Funkman, you don't count. You had that crazy dad who made you do all kinds of crazy stuff. He taught assembly to his kid. Learn assembly first. You see in your Romanian? It's the Slavic region, I swear. They love C, man. They love C. They should too. That's why they're fucking dominating. I'm just saying. Fyodor says, I personally started with C and then C++, tried Java, went to PHP, and ended up with Go. What? Nice. Thanks for the story. Fortran's not bad. It comes up, newcomers say, everybody wants to know what they learn. They want to learn how to code, and that's good. I recently got a job offer from a desktop application developer. Pay is great. Their future is not. Depends on what they're developing for desktop apps. I don't know. I would not recommend it. Listen to Artifacts Rob. Oh, what your dad did for assembly as your first language? Funkbane, whose opinion I deeply respect, says, not because he agrees with me, by the way. It's because of how he was taught. Oh my God, this guy has lived through such amazing stuff. His dad taught him assembly when he was really young, and then he learned all this other stuff, and now he's doing all kinds of stuff. So, okay, back to what we were working on. So Andre says it started. Happy to see new viewers on DSIs. Oh, yeah. Started with C, and now I'm working as an ML engineer working with Python. Nothing wrong with that. Python and C, that's like a marriage made in heaven right there. Some would argue that's why Python is the language of TensorFlow and data science, because they can stub C so easily. There's a pretty strong case to be made for that. There's another language, though, that stubs C much easier than Python. Starts with a G. DSLs? Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. What were we talking about? So kubeadm. So kubeadm is a Linux only kind of thing. Yeah, you got it. You get it. Ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. So yeah, the language that starts with G is Go, in case you're wondering. So we've learned that kubeadm requires a Linux install. We haven't ruled out the possibility that it could be WSL2 on Windows, but it sounds like it won't run under plain old Mac. We don't know that though. I mean, I haven't tested that, but according to the documentation, it's only designed to run on Linux. Therefore, it can be on any Linux. So we are, and I didn't say any Linux. Lol, very lame 80s Gen X joke. So we could do, okay, so we could do, what I want to test here is, I think you should learn Bash for sure, yeah. So we're going to look to see if MKSSH, whoops. So one of the greatest benefits of Minikube is it comes with SSH, it comes with an SSH node by default, and it's running as a Docker user. And it doesn't have fetch or neofetch on here, and I believe it's APK. No, it's not. Okay, so it's an Ubuntu derivative. We don't know what kind it is, but it's using apt. So I don't think I can get sudo access here, or can I? Apparently I can. So this is what I'm trying to say. I think that the reason at work, I don't know. Okay, so at my workplace, when we were dealing with the expired certs for etcd, because they installed it externally from inside of Kubernetes, which you should never do now because it's supported within Kubernetes. and it auto updates your certs every time you update your Kubernetes. So moral of the story, don't ever use an external etcd unless you have really, really good reason to do so. Same with core DNS, which is now installed by default included. These are all control plane components, and we've covered control plane components before. I'm not going to go over that again. So they're all in your control plane, which is this logical grouping of ultimately pods, which are controllers that are running and listening to different things and controlling different things. And again, I'm not going to go into that again. I already got that pretty much down. So what I'm observing though is that during our certificate testing and debugging, that I was reading about kubeadm on the Kubernetes.io site, and it was saying do this and such to look at your certs, and I couldn't because I don't have it. I didn't have kubeadm installed. And I thought at the time that kubeadm was installed as a part of the control plane. It was something to be installed. And now that I'm reading Kubernetes.io and see that there's a bullet point, install kubectl, install kubeadm, install minikube or kind, it lists it as an individual thing. So to me, that seems to imply that it can be anywhere as long as it's Linux. That means I'm going to test this hypothesis right now, right? I'm going to install kubeadm on my host system, which logically is separate from my virtual machine that's running my Kubernetes cluster Minikube, and I'm going to see if I can use that to provision stuff or whatever, or to talk to my Minikube cluster at all, assuming that kubeadm is using the Kubernetes API or some method of that kind. I don't know. We're gonna figure out. And then I'm also gonna try right now to install kubeadm on my control plane host, in my node host, whatever, the machine on which my control plane is running, etcd and all that stuff. It's just a single machine. You can't break it up into several machines, but in this case, it's all in one. So can I put kubeadm on there? And what would happen? Would that see etcd right and everything? Probably would, right? There's no kubectl right here, by the way, either, right? Because kubectl is meant to be an external client necessary for talking to and doing all your interactions with Kubernetes through the API, which runs on what 2 ports, by the way? For 10 points, name the 2 ports on which the main Kubernetes API responds, both on the endpoints and on the main upstream. What are the ports that are reserved for Kubernetes? Nobody knows it. I memorized it. 8080 and 6443. Those are the ports. Those are the ports that both get locked down. So it's actually 6443. Yeah. So unless you run the dashboard, which is 443, I think. But any node, okay? Any node, which means any machine that's running what are the three components that have to be installed on every Kubernetes, on every machine that wants to call itself a node? What are the 3 things the 3 node components that must be installed? I said this last time too. I'm going to do it again because I keep reiterating to myself. There's 3 things that have to be installed in order to call yourself a node if you're a machine that wants to play Kubernetes. The first one is not listed in the diagram, but I think it's the most important. So the machine has to have a container runtime. And the container runtime can be containerd, which is Docker, it can be Creo, it doesn't matter. It has to have a container runtime. The container runtime, technically speaking, is independent from the Kubernetes deployment. So therefore, they've decided not to list it on the diagram because any machine can have a container runtime, right? And it's cool too, because that same container runtime, you got the other 2, a container runtime, and the other big one, there's 2 big ones, other big ones is kubelet, which is the Go program that does everything, all the intelligence and everything, which strangely enough is not network aware, at least as far as I know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to nmap that sucker and see what's up. I want to actually make a node. This is one of the reasons I want to do this the way I'm doing it. I'm going to nmap the whole entire machine after each install. So after I install a container runtime, I'm going to nmap it. What ports did it open? And then I'm going to install kubelet and I'm going to nmap it. Does it expose any ports? Yeah. uh, and kubelet is the main one, right? And then kubeproxy, which is apparently the network broker between, as I understand it, kubectl and the net, and that's the one that's listening, as I understand it, on 6443 and 8080. The reason that I want to prove my understanding of this by end mapping after each stage of installation, and the reason I'm frustrated by Minikube and Kind at in that point, because they do it all for you, is I want to actually independently install each one and map it and see if they're exposing any ports at any moment. And that's the hacker in me that wants to see how much stuff's getting put out there. I have a hunch that kubelet by itself doesn't do any port forwarding or any listening at all, other than on localhost. So kubelet's only job is to interact with the container runtime and the kubeproxy. So I don't know that, so don't take my word for that yet. But I have a feeling that that's what's happening. So kubelet is there. When I think about infrastructure stuff, I have to really directly paint a map in my head about how things are talking to each other, and that makes me feel more comfortable. So at the end of the day, it's just a whole bunch of REST APIs. Honestly, so far it's been really kind of fun to go through. So test number 1, can we install kubeadm in the control plane node on Minikube? If we can, then that'll make some of our testing go pretty easy. But I still want to go ahead and build my own virtual Kubernetes network of computers on my system using all 8 cores. So let's see, installing Kubernetes, show you how you can create a cluster. Okay, fine. Here we go. Back to the beginning. Before we begin, 2 GPUs or more of RAM per machine. Any less will leave little room for your apps. 2 gigabytes of RAM. Duh. Per machine. Shit. 2 CPUs or more. Yes. Full network. I'm only going to be able. That means if I have an 8 core, I'm only going to be able to have maybe 3. I'm probably on my system, I'm barely going to be able to do 3 nodes. And that's probably enough because, as I understand it, there's a head node, there's a worker node, and then there's a control plane. So I could put my control plane and etcd and everything into a single node. 3 if I'm lucky. Yeah. I could put everything. You know what I'm saying? For just that pay is great is the future for this. I recently got a job offer for desktop application developer. It depends on what you're coding in and what you're doing. I don't know. Any developer job is great. If it's a developer job, that's really good. Yeah. Yeah, I would look at that. It might make sure you know what it is. If it's an Electron web job, Python GUI plus C# GUI. Wow, I haven't heard of jobs like that in a long time. Yeah, I mean that's a good job if that's what you want to do. If you like that. If you learn how to do that job, then you'll be able to do other jobs. You'll be able to pivot if you need to. So if it's what you want to do and it pays good, yeah, I would go for it. You can't go wrong with that. Just learn it, and then you're never going to get everything you want. So my job officially, there's no Go coding in it right now. You guys know I'm obsessed with Go coding. So, but it has a lot of other good things, Kubernetes stuff, right? So do it. It's your day job, and then do the other stuff, when you have fun or something. Get on the stream and let people make fun of you. Full network connectivity between all machines of the cluster, public or private. For me, the job is more about the money and the benefits, and working for a company that I can actually get behind. Even if it's not something I would necessarily buy, it's not ruining the world. Those are the most important things for me. And I've kind of put a line of separation between how I want to make the world a better place and my day job. I want to make sure my day job isn't making the world a worse place, but if it's keeping the status quo or it's making it slightly better, fine. If it pays well, and if it allows me to do this, if I were to work for a job that absolutely locked down my ability to discuss what I do, even anonymously with regard to my company, I wouldn't do it. I'd leave I would leave immediately, because I believe this is good for them as well as me and you guys. Unique host name, MAC address, blah, blah, blah. Certain ports are open on your machines. Yes, swap disabled. You must disable swap in order for your kubelet to work properly. That is interesting. That's the first time I've read that. That is really interesting. I mean, these days people don't turn swap on anyway because of SSD and everything, but still. What companies are ruining the world, for example? I don't know. Every company is. There are some companies that are doing good and doing bad at the same time. Um, Facebook definitely is ruining the world. Yeah, Facebook has objectively proven they don't give a shit about improving the world, and they've been caught saying so. I'm sorry to have to say it that way, but Google. I have a huge mixed feelings on. You've seen me screaming at the camera about how much I hate Google sometimes. But Google is a weird one. Google reminds me of Evil Corp and Mr. Robot. There's a lot of good that comes out of it, and there's a lot of really bad greed, both in the same company because it's a big company, right? You could try to make that case for Facebook, but the base premise of the original Facebook application to compare women's faces to each other has gone nowhere but down. And now they're trying to manipulate public opinion and all kinds of stuff. They've been caught calling kids under 12 sharks because they got access illegally to their mother's credit cards. There's so many things wrong with what Facebook has done that I cannot call them anything but evil. And they've destroyed many family relationships on purpose. On purpose, they deliberately hire people to manipulate the psychology of the people and create addiction, and they openly admit it. So I got nothing to say. They're so above reproach. I have nothing good to say about Facebook. NSO Group is a heinous ass company. Palantir is another one that I would maybe put into that group. They try to say they're doing things for good. Hacker Group is another one that got taken down, kind of mostly. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put Google and Microsoft in that group anymore. Amazon, I don't put in that group. They're kind of more of a mixed sort of thing. Oracle, God, fuck no. Oracle has provided a good value, but they're not evil, but they're just really fucked up. Whatever. I would never take a job in Silicon Valley ever. No. I just not that had Silicon Valley mentality. I wouldn't take that. Look, I got nothing bad to say about, it's just, it's whatever. It's complex. It's a complex thing. So you have to make your own decisions. I mean, even some of the energy companies are kind of turning a new leaf and trying to promote, new energy alternatives, even though they're still pumping up and shooting down, like coal companies and other stuff like that. So the moral of the Mr. Robot story is, corporations could change if there's enough financial incentive for them to do so, and they will. It's not the corporation that's evil. It's the greed at the top that's causing it to go after. And you can change a corporation. They can change their direction. They have over and over again. So the difference is that which corporations are actually trying to change, or are exhibiting like legitimate, desire to turn the corner for whatever reason, usually money, which is why you see all the car manufacturers, they're all announcing like very publicly, we will never make another non-hybrid car ever. There's a couple car companies that have come up and said that. Oh, Kubernetes, yeah, I'm sorry. But so I just wanted to say that you would have a hard time finding any car company willing to do anything in the electric space at all 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And they were being killed by the oil lobby and everything. And that's all changed. It's all changed. So was the company evil, or did they just respond? I don't know. It's companies can change. So I don't know. It just depends on the company and, whether. But if you go into a super evil company and think you're going to change them, like Facebook, forget it. You just own it. You just want the money. You don't really give a shit about actually helping anybody. And if you're okay with that too, that's your own choice. I choose not to. Okay. Verify the MAC address and product UID are unique for every node. We did that. Check network adapters. Why do I have to do all of this just to install KubeADM? I don't need this. Why do I need this? This is not making any sense to me at all. This is exactly what happens when you have 5 or 20 different people writing documentation. We all have a different approach and a different style of writing. To run containers and pods, Kubernetes uses a container runtime. This we know. We already learned that on the other page. CRI interface, we know this. This I know. This I know. Container D. Yep. Both Docker and Container D are detected. It's not Docker shim anymore. That went away. It's var run docker, not .sock now. This is wrong. This is a mistake. I swear to God, this is a mistake. You think, yeah, well, let's see. So I think ExpressVPN got into some muck lately since their TPO is implicitly in a bunch of shady stuff. Yeah. Yep. Friends that work at Amazon don't paint a nice picture of that from the inside. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that it's the grass is always greener thing. I remember thinking IBM was the evil and the devil when I was there too, and they're no different than a lot of other companies. So that's whatever. It's largely subjective, and I try to own that. You'll install these packages on all of your machines: kubeadm, kubelet, and kubectl. The command line utility to talk to your cluster. I don't understand. Why does this have to be on all your machines? You don't need kubectl on a node. I don't have it. This is a lie. People, I have a feeling this is a lie. You don't need all three of those pieces on here. And but by the way, you just told us earlier that what were the three main components of a node. I feel like there's mixed information here. It said the three required components to be called a node were the container runtime, kubelet, and the kube proxy. It didn't say anything about installing kubeadm. It says install kubeadm, kubelet, and kubectl on all of your packages if you're going to use it. Why? kubeadm will not install or manage kubelet or ctl for you. So you will need to ensure they match the version of the Kubernetes control plane they want kubeadm to install for you. I don't think you need kubectl on every single node. I think you need it on the thing you're going to use to do communication. I think this is bad docs. I have a feeling this is a bad doc. If you do not, there is a risk of version skew occurring. Yes, which is another reason not to install kubectl on all of your machine nodes. That's bad information. I swear to God, that's bad information. However, one minor version skew between the kubelet, yeah. And the control plane is supported, one minor version, but the kubelet version may never exceed the API server version. Yeah. For example, the kubelet server should be fully compatible, but I've actually said, okay, that I get. Kubelet, I buy it. kubeadm has nothing to do with any of that though. So these instructions exclude the Kubernetes package from any system upgrades. This is why kubeadm is because kubeadm and Kubernetes require special attention to upgrade. I don't know, man. Kubelet, CTL. So is there a kubelet on here? How can you tell if something's been installed? Was it apt? It's apt. What is it? Is it apt list? Yeah. apt list grep kubelet. I have a feeling it has to be. Nope. What? These caution scripts. Huh. How can it not have a kubelet on there? Because yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. I may actually take on all the docs and try to maintain them and join the documentation effort because I have a feeling this is bad information. I don't know that for sure. So, we're gonna find that out though, and I'm gonna document it in my Zet, and then we'll go on from there and open tickets where needed. How's it going? It's going pretty good. We're just exploring to see if Minikube actually has a kubelet on it, which it does not. The only reason it doesn't have a kubelet I can imagine is because, I mean, the only reason I can figure is because it doesn't need it because it's all on a single node, so it doesn't have to communicate. Since it's all on the same node, it can just talk directly to the API. It doesn't have to do kubelet or kube proxy, which is another reason to not do a single node cluster for your learning, because if you're going to truly understand how to install the infrastructure, you have to start with several base operating systems and install the required pieces onto there if you're going to get a true infrastructure engineer perspective on how to do this. Minikube is great for learning the commands and the API and the CKAD stuff, but it's not for setting up the infrastructure. I don't think it's there, and that includes testing search. It may not prevent it from being installed, and that's what I want to check right now. I have a feeling, though, that kubeadm is going to try to talk to kubeproxy, which isn't here, and then it's going to say, sorry, you can't do it, even if I successfully install it. That's my theory, and I want to prove that theory right now. So yeah, sudo apt-get update. I think we already have that. I don't want to add, I don't think I should need to do that. I think I should have all that stuff automatically because come on, this is Minikube. If it doesn't have that, if it doesn't already have all the signed, stuff, I would be really surprised. App install kubeadm. Unable to look at package kubeadm. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's because I need an update. I should not, though. I shouldn't need an apt update. Maybe I do because it was a tiny Minikube cluster. I didn't want to pull down all that. That makes sense. I wouldn't want to burn all that disk space on that. Yep. So I could probably get it now. Nope, because it's not depleted. Okay, this is a really bare bones thing. Yeah. I hate adding keys this way. I don't like doing it that way. So it needs the HTTPS transport, certs, and curl and everything. And then, do we have curl on here? I bet we do. Oh, which curl? This is interesting. I'm actually really enjoying this. So we need to get the key rings and everything. Google Cloud Public Signed Keys. It's only needed by kubeadm and not normally needed on bare bones nodes. I don't know. I don't know what kubeadm talks to. I think kubeadm talks directly to kubelet. That's my theory. No, I think kubeadm talks directly to kubeproxy. That's what I think. I don't have proof of that yet. And if I have to, I go look at the source, which I'm totally okay with doing. This is all happening on a virtual machine I can throw away, so I'm not even worried. And add Kubernetes App Repo. They're adding the app repo using this. I would never add an app this way, but I'm going to do it here just because it's Minikube and I can throw it away. So there we go. It will be interesting. Yeah. So update. So we can do apt update now. These are fun curiosities to figure out. Right now, we're still focused on getting Minikube to do the right thing, which in this case is run ADM. Right now, I'm just trying to get it to install. So we're going to do apt install kubeadm, and I'm going to install it without any other pieces at the moment. Let's see what it requires. Oh, look what it does. It triggers dependencies. This makes me think, has it helped you by watching? Thank you for saying so, YouTube. There you go. I bet you anything. So once again, these docs are wrong. These docs are wrong. You know why? All you have to do is install kubeadm and it'll pull down all the other ones because it has package dependencies. So this is wrong. You can do that if you want, but you don't need to. Wait, what's this? App mark hold. What does that mean? I have never used that. What does that even mean? All right, I got to figure that out. So kubeadm, kubectl, kubelet, Kubernetes, CNI, all of this stuff is going to be installed. It means freezing updates. Oh, really? I've never used that before. All right, so that would be good, right? Because you don't want it to get out of sync. This tends to make me think that kubeadm uses kubectl to talk to kubelet. That is what I would infer from that. I don't know for sure. So this would be really interesting because I'm putting all this on the control plane node, which could totally hose my control plane. Yeah, errors were encountered. Subprocess returned an error. Conflicts with Kubernetes CNI. You see that? Container network plugins conflicts with Kubernetes CNI. Well, there's your answer right there. For stability on a toolset while updating base. Yeah, I could tell that. Yeah. Compatibility. Yeah, I've never used it, but for all the reasons they said, you don't ever want to. Otherwise, people are going to get on a node and go update all, right? And it's going to blow out compatibility. This is super cool. I got to make sure that goes in my log, but I'm not there yet. I'll put that in my log for sure. So we just learned something here. We have a definitive answer. You cannot install kubeadm into Minikube's node and not have a blow up, because it has dependencies on Kubernetes container network, Kubernetes CNI, which conflicts with the container networking plugins, which have been kind of jerry-rigged magically to make Minikube work as the least possible resources, which is the whole point of Minikube. So thou shalt not fuck with Minikube's base install. that's what I'm taking away from this. And I had a feeling that would be the answer, but whatever. Okay, thou shalt not install onto mkssh Minikube node. Because why? Because it's too magical. There's too much magic going on that node that doesn't. Let's put it this way: if you SSH into the Minikube node and you think that looking around is going to give you a sense of what a control plane node looks like, you're sadly mistaken. It's not going to have kubeadm on it. It's not going to be able to look at the certs. It's got so many, things that have been magic that's been done to it to make it so that it's not it's really small, that it could really screw you up, in my opinion. So I'm taking that away from this. This is another reason that I want to actually set up a true, cluster with hopefully 3 nodes. Hopefully I can fit 3 nodes on my 8 CPU cluster, on my 8 CPU machine here. We're going to see. I don't know about that. I already have one. I already have a Docker desktop is already running, and that's chewing up 2. So I'm probably not going to be able to get 3. If I can only get 2, that's fine. Then I'll make the head node the same as the controller plane, and which is, I've heard, can be done. And we'll go from that. Wait, why am I getting Steam notifications for? Have we got Steam still running? I guess I do. So yeah. Much magic. All right. The answer is no to that. Okay, so what's next? Maybe get a thread. I was just saying that. You just tuned in, right? I was just saying that. And send one my way. Yeah, I was just saying I'm going to get a Threadripper. Yeah, definitely. It's mandatory work expense. I mean, strictly speaking, I could do it on individuals. The reason I want a Threadripper is because I can fuck with it so much faster than if I put it on actual hardware. I actually do want to have a true hardware system, but if I'm like playing around with configurations, virtual is the way to go, hands down. Assign 60 cores of 64 gram 2VM. I hate you. I hate you. Hate with a capital H. You and your Threadripper Pro 64. Oh my God. What are they, like 2K now? What's the cheapest computer you can get that's got a Threadripper Pro 64 in it? The System 76 one was like 6K. Actually, I saw a gaming system. I saw a gaming rig on Amazon that had a Threadripper in it. I don't know if it was a 64, and it was only 3,200, and it had a kick-ass GPU as well. I kind of want to put 2 GPUs in it. I know people think that's crazy, but we have multiple GPUs in tons of our systems in our HPC learning, machine learning environment. In fact, it was such a problem that some people from the company actually went to Unreal Engine and told them that they needed to change some of their drivers to use multiple GPUs, because believe it or not, we use Unreal Engine for some of our machine learning. It's crazy. I wish I could talk about it. I can't talk about it. Envy, not hate. Is it called envy? Okay, linguist. When I say I hate you, it's like not actual hate, right? More people hating on hate. You know what? The word hate has been used in many different ways that do not mean what you think it means. At least in my generation. Business expense 3090 with 24 gigabytes for neural nets. It is generic and it's just for a reason, people. I know. It's like, I think it's a generational thing. People have said, "Oh, those haters." I'm like, no, I'm not hating. People are hating on hate. Maybe look at Epic CPUs versus Threadrippers. Stop doing it. I can't. Stop it. Stop talking about. We need to make a version of Reddit porn just for that. What would it be called? Cloud porn. /r/cloud porn. Porn cloud, that's a different thing. That's an actual thing probably. Don't nobody go look there. It's probably a real thing. Like Linux porn, it's a joke. So don't get freaked out. Shit, I got people searching now. I don't want to hear, I want no posting of URLs related to that last topic, please. All right, so Minikube URLs are not a thing. They are a thing, but I like Minikube, but bye-bye, Minikube. Minikube and I are going to say goodbye to each other for the next 2 hours. Thou shalt not do anything. You know what, though? I'm going to keep you around. I'm just going to stop you. Just shut you up a little bit. There's Linux prawn. There's definitely Linux prawn on Reddit. You know what I'm talking about. It's got all the different i3 setups, and somebody sent me a video the other day about the hackers that they thought I would like, and it was like some 11-year-old with like 3 screens, and he had loaded up that page where if you just type on it, it just spews a graphic of C code across, or C kernel code across the screen. And he had like an anonymous hat on with his hoodie, and I was like watching that, and I promised myself in that moment I would never ever use an anonymous face mask again. It's like, oh my god, it was so bad. Arch i3 and HTOP. Yeah, there you go. A lot of people love that. Yeah, no, just no. Honestly, though, we can imagine the end of Nux, if not why. Yeah, maybe not. Here's the real question. V for Vendetta mask. Yes, that's the one. It's the V for Vendetta mask, which I like much better as a V for Vendetta reference than an anonymous reference. So which OS should I use? So this is the thing when you're doing like a real thing. I need to, how many cores can I get? How many cores can I get? How many can I do? I mean, if I were going to do this in a real way, I would put Red Hat. I'd put Red Hat or CentOS because that's what I use at work. You think I can get away with 4 cores? You know, I think I can do 2 nodes. Shit. God damn it. I want to use more than that. I mean, I absolutely can't because I'm already running Docker desktop. I'm running Docker right now to do dual streaming, so I can't fuck with that. That's already on right now. That's on my host system. If you're using that box to stream as well, be happy. Yeah. I have Pi clusters. I got a ton of Pi stuff. The Pi clusters and stuff, what I want to do is okay, so I guess I'm fine with 2. The truth be known, I could actually do it with 1. I could do it with 1 if I had to, but 2 is better, right? Something big is going down from the anonymous guys. Jumped all the right-leaning infrastructure stuff. They're promising more on Guy Fawkes Day. Yeah. Yes, they are. They're working on lots of good stuff. So it's happening. It's happening. Yeah. Mahalo says, haven't turned in a while, but what platforms is the stream still on? I don't know what you're talking about. Twitch and YouTube. Yep. Stuff gets saved to YouTube and streamed both places. Shh, don't tell. We're getting rid of Discord eventually. I haven't made a full decision on that. If we stay on Discord, it's going to be it's just sort of like with Michael Hashimoto. Really into Pi clusters. I love Pi clusters. I really want to make one. I also don't want to do something that I can't bring up and down really fast. Discord. Okay, this is very fast. TLDR. Discord is gone as it is today. Will there be another Discord? If Slack costs money, if Slack costs people money to use, we won't be using it. And yet I still feel like we need a place for people to chat and stuff. So I'm going to do Matrix. I want to see if we can just do Matrix, and not have a bridge. If that's not possible, if it's not possible to do Matrix chat, name data network, we're going to do, we're doing Matrix, matrix.org. So the chat will be bridged from Matrix, and will it include, I think the default Matrix chat includes the ability to do, frankly, I don't need diagrams and shit. If people need to send message, I don't want to get off on a topic like this. The answer is the Matrix. Everything's going to be on the Matrix. I'll possibly make I'm possibly make an IRC bridge. I'll possibly make a YouTube bridge. I'll possibly make a Twitch bridge, or a Discord bridge. But the Discord as it is today will go away. There is a small percentage chance that Discord might get completely deleted and reset. So that's it. I honestly, if we're gonna make a move, I don't want to fuck around with IRC anymore. I love IRC. But WeChat, for example, has a 100% Matrix supported plugin, and Matrix.org uses a very, very simple web API, and is much safer, and it's also distributed. Hey, Tynamo. So I'm only going to go for 2 nodes here. Is going to eat Slack in the enterprise? No, I don't agree at all. I used to think that, but not anymore. Not after using both for 2 years. Absolutely not. Discord is crap compared to Slack when it comes to integrated plugin management and business management and a number of other things that businesses really care about. I hate that you can't put actual code in Slack messages to this day, and there's a bunch of things that really annoy me about Slack, but that ain't happening. No way. For your Scrum, it just works. Yeah, people say it all the time. It actually doesn't work in many ways that you might not be aware of because you haven't been using Slack. I used to be that way. I used to think that, but I've actually had a lot of evidence to the contrary with regard to Discord, particularly sustainability. Discord is down all the time. I mean, it's really not reliable. It's so bad. I was using it for a long time for many other reasons. And it has absolute shit rear end. The architecture in the back end, they reveal how bad their architecture is all the time without desiring to do so. I don't know how much better Slack is, but I guarantee you my experience at work with Slack has been way better than my experience with Discord. So far, I hate saying that because that is a 180-degree flip for me. So yeah, different use case than the enterprise. I agree. Slack is 100% focused on the enterprise, and they have enterprise priorities clearly. And that's why I think it's never happening. There will be some edgy gamified companies that will be okay with Discord for their work. Our company thinks Slack is edgy. The main tool is Microsoft Team Rooms, which are disastrously bad, and that's the official way to use it. So anyway, Matrix is coming. Matrix is going to be the next thing. I might actually work on it tomorrow. You can also get a HIPAA compliant Slack, which shows that the level that you use. Yeah, you can't do it with Discord, right? And Slack and Teams to die. And I don't think it's happening. No, Slack is not going to die. People who think Slack are going to die have no access to the enterprise. The enterprise money behind Slack makes Discord look like a teeny tiny bug running on the sidewalk in front of Slack. Discord has an unfairly large representation by people who are really loud. It is a step, but it doesn't matter because you might not like it, but that's just the state of affairs. Jitsu? No, I've looked at that. Jitsu is a Zoom. Yeah, I have played with that. Thank you. All right, back to what we're doing. We're gonna fork off to HipChat. It's gonna make a comeback. It might actually. Um, yeah, the number of enterprise based integrations, the Salesforce purchase of Slack, you could not have made a better combination because they were already gamifying enterprise, and in gamified enterprise is not the same as gamified Discord. Totally different, but you get a badge. It's gamified. uh, is all people need. That's what we're doing. I'm going to do Matrix plus Jitsi. Yep. I'm going to do Matrix, but Matrix actually has streamed. Matrix has streamed. Matrix has streamed video now too and sound. Yeah, I'm really hopeful. I haven't used it at all, but I'm really, really hopeful. I've been reading about it a lot. I don't want to do all this work again. I've done it like 3 times, and I'm not doing it again. Actually, I didn't. Vera did it, but I still don't want to do it. Machine learning with Golang. I bet you they are. Yeah, dude. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, it's integrated. I didn't realize Jitsi was integrated with Matrix. But its integration is not great. I did not know that. That's just going to get better. The Matrix project is just fucking awesome. I have a feeling there's a bunch of old cypherpunks behind it. I can't prove that. I have no evidence of that to suggest that. It feels like it to me. The Matrix project feels like it's being driven by a bunch of old gray cypherpunks from the 90s. Nobody knows what I'm talking about who's like under 20 or under 30, but it's what it feels like to me, and I really love it. I really love the whole vibe of it. Anyway, serving models in Go, but probably not training. Yeah, I think they're just serving models up. I think that's what it's not. That doesn't count as. Yeah, I agree, Tony, well with that. You're reading the code now, the Matrix code, and now we don't say Matrix anymore. That's elements. Are they calling it elements now? Yeah, they're totally 2600. They exactly. They're all 2600 all the way. The way they write and everything, it's actually very, very, very near and dear to my heart. I'm like reading the documentation for Matrix, and I'm like, oh, it's like an old school phone freaks, all 2600. The rhetoric and everything. I'm just like, oh yes, more please. I miss it. I miss that. And that's old Cult of the Dead Cow kind of time frame. I think it's even before that cypherpunk. I also have a theory. that the cypherpunks are behind the cicada hack, the cicada thing. I can't prove that at all. I can't prove it at all. I have a feeling that some really old school, like retired age cypherpunks are behind the entire cicada thing, but I have no evidence to suggest that. So server structures Matrix. Only the client has been named element. Oh, right. There's multiple clients, right? That's the whole point. You can use multiple clients, right? Yeah. Just call it a phone booth and call it a day. Yeah. Captain Crunch reference somewhere. There probably will be. Yes. I'll have an analog phone picture on the wall. I was here 2600. Yeah. Nobody, I'm telling you, all the kiddies don't understand what we're talking about. They have no idea. They're like, what are you talking about? What's cypherpunk? Go look it up. Have fun. Yeah. As Romero says on Mr. Robot, I fucking invented this shit. Don't tell me. The phone freaker on Mr. Robot. Do you know what I'm talking about? I fucking invented this shit. I love him. He's so funny. What's that? There were many Gravers in your viewer stuff, actually. Yeah, there are. I know. It's probably because, reasons. But, yeah. I mean, some of them are probably really cypherpunk. How do you spell that? How do you spell it? Is that like phone freaking? It's like I can't go. Oh God, you guys are cracking me up. You're really cracking me up. Back to virtual machines, which we did not invent. That came from other generations. Thank God. How's it going, Naran? But we have a lot of fun people in the stream right now, so it's hard for me to focus. I'm sorry about this out of context question. What do you think about Android developers? I think we need them. I love Android, my Android phone. I actually would. I'm probably, if I ever write Java, it would be again. Then I'm going to be doing it to write an PWA replacement for my Zettelkasten and browser tool for KEG, the Knowledge Exchange Grid, which is a take on the internet that I've been brewing for a while. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it, but I still want to work on it. Honorary Graybeard. I think that we should make Graybeard a non-gender term. So, Cypherpunk, you're using Kotlin. I think I probably would be using Kotlin. I know I like Kotlin, but I don't know. But I want to learn raw Java also with regard to that. I mean, Kotlin is what most people have been using, but yeah. Cypherpunk. That's your old brother, Cypherpunk. Yeah. Yeah, they invented GPG and a number of other things to keep the internet great. The cypherpunks were so prophetic. It's just amazing. One of the number one way that I knew that Matrix was designed by the cypherpunks is because it focused on content encryption at rest and not transport communication tunnel encryption, which has always been fucked up, and the cypherpunks have always been against. Not against, but when it comes to securing data, the absolute best way to secure that data is to encrypt it at rest and then transfer the file however the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. And that's exactly what the Matrix is. It's exactly, the whole entire architecture is built on that. I was like looking at it, I was like, oh my God, they like read my mind with KEG, because everything, they invented GPG signing, everything. They couldn't get anybody to use it because nobody trusted the encryption algorithms at the time. And they thought GPG would be too complicated to do. And so instead we get email. We get unsecured email that's just rampant all over the place. It's absolute crap. And web pages, it can't be, there's no attribution and no signing or anything. If the whole internet had went a different way, we would be much better off. And it would be, if that were to happen, it would be based on an architecture like what the Matrix people are putting forward. It's just brilliant. I absolutely love it. And they got it chafing and winnowing, yeah, because they're distributed. Yeah. And the other thing too is you see distributed these days, and any crypto kitty is going to tell you, oh, you mean like Bitcoin block? No, fuck no. Distributed doesn't have to be a secure distributed system. Doesn't have to be on the fucking blockchain. There's a million other ways to do it, and nobody's thinking about any of those ways because they're all fucking obsessed with blockchain. If you could calm down, time to go back to work. So, and the cypherpunks have thought about many of those ways like 20 fucking years ago, and they didn't get picked up because of reasons I don't even know. So it's kind of fun to see it, circle back, and everybody's finally learning the lessons of, tunnel encryption is not the best. More coffee. You can teach Hamming codes to elementary school kids. Yeah. How long have I learned Kubernetes? Not very long. I'm brand new to Kubernetes. Yep, I've been using it a lot. It's my official job, so I have to really master it. But I've only been using Kubernetes. I wrote my first Docker file 3 months ago. That's no kidding, no kidding. But I just deployed a rather complex Jupyter Hub and Kubernetes deployment. I did Node Affinity. I did Node Discovery. I did GPU feature discovery deployment. I wrote the script for the Helm 2 to 3 upgrade, including dropping Altiller. I've been using it a lot, but I've got a lot of infrastructure experience. So that's my story. Somebody asked what my story was. That's my story. And I think it's been about 10 minutes today because we haven't talked about Kubernetes. That's what happens on Saturday. In shorter time, I can't. Forget about trying. You can't learn Kubernetes in a 4-week boot camp. It's just not happening. So can I learn faster than you? Was it June 7, 2014? You've been one of our originals, Taniwa. So if you're not catching this, there's a lot of old timers in the Kubernetes space in my Twitch stream right now. We're talking old timers, like people that publicly have stated they worked for Docker when it started, which, it's not the origin of containerization. I have to say that, or some certain people are going to get mad at me. Between Google. You witnessed the agreement between Google and Red Hat to work on Kubernetes together at DockerCon. Oh my God. Going to take a damn decade at this point. At this point, yes, Jalopy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Question though. So let's start building. So we already know that I already have 8 cores. I'm already running Docker in order to do my dual stream. Plus I'm streaming. I mean, it's pretty dangerous to even, go the route of adding, yet another, 3 virtual machines here. Every one of the machines that's a node has to have at least 2 CPUs. That's the requirement. So the best I'm going to be able to get out of this is to, I think Docker, correct me if I'm wrong, using Docker at all requires 2 CPUs, right? Is that true? Docker requires 2 CPUs, true or false? Using Docker on a computer requires a minimum of 2 CPUs because one of them is being allocated for the hypervisor or whatever, right? Is that true? I think that's true. Let me ask. If that's true, I'm trying to count up where I've already allocated CPUs so I don't get it. Now, I know Kubernetes requires 2, but I'm wondering about Docker by itself. I think Docker by itself requires 1 is sufficient for Docker. Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to decide if I've already burned up one of my 8 CPUs by my Docker installation that's doing my dual stream. I have a really great Docker container. It's ugly as sin. I need to redo it from the guys who made it, but it handles my Nginx RTMP dual stream, and it does a great job of it. It's really amazing. So, but it runs under my current existing base installed Docker, and I think it doesn't consume an extra CPU, but I want to say I probably should at least allocate 1 for it, even if it didn't need it. So that would be 2 CPUs gone out of the 8. Work with one, but you get contention, right? So I'm going to build my own virtual machine cluster here, and we know it can be done with 1. Optimally, if I had 16 cores, it would have been perfect because then I could have done at least 3 nodes. I could have done 1 machine for the control plane, 1 machine for a head node, and 1 machine for a worker node. Would you agree with that, Taniwa? I mean, you're the resident expert today. So, Docker daemon, not hypervisor, right? Sorry, it's not a hypervisor. I keep forgetting. It is a daemon, and it's using it. It doesn't use it. I was thinking, yeah. It's not. The Minikube does. Minikube chews up too. That's another reason people don't like Minikube versus Kind, for example. Kernel's decent scheduling. That works. So the problem I have right now is I'm going to be allocating 2 CPUs per node, including the machine, the control plane node, which, if I did 3, I mean, I'm going to try it, see what my computer does. If I do 3, then that means I'll have, I mean, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight, right? Because I'll have 3 CPU, I'll have 6 CPUs locked up in virtual machines, and I'll only have 2 CPUs left for everything else my host OS is doing. So, I mean, I have a pretty kicking GPU, but I do know that OBS uses almost all the CPU. But the thing is that OBS, I mean, this is kind of a fun experiment. Memory's the issue. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, you're right. Oh, fuck yeah. I don't have that much memory. I'm burning through the memory because I got too many things running. Let me turn the Spotify off. Let's see if that brings it down somewhat. 5.4, it didn't go much down. Yeah, memory's going to be my thing. Fuck. It is because, what is the minimum memory? Is it 2 gig memory? I think it's 2 gig, right? We actually read that. Where do we read that? We read the memory requirements, and I cannot remember where they are now. You got to kill your swap. No, I don't need to kill my swap. I can turn the swap off on the virtual machine, can I? Can I turn the swap off on the virtual machine? Maybe not. Shit. I think you're right. I think I have swap on right now. Because yeah, I do have swap on for sure. Yep. I don't know. We're going to find out real quick. I mean, this is fun. This is the fun thing about failing. I might blow my stream up doing this, but who cares? I don't feel like I got a lot of recovery out of that by getting rid of Spotify. I don't know what's up with that. I'm going to go figure it out. Yeah. I forgot to find out. Yeah, my Spotify's gone. I should probably turn Steam off too. I mean, let's be real. I don't need Steam on. I need my keys on. I mean, OBS is the hog here. Yeah. I'll go VM manager. Yeah. Has to, I know the VM itself can swap, but you'll get serious performance issues. True or false? I can do this with host operating system swap enabled. If I'm shooting for a VM. Hey, Black Mouse. Good to see you. God, we got all the good Kubernetes people here. False. Justify your statement because you're conflicting with what I heard Tanya just say. We're exploring a true Kubernetes deployment using kubeadm and with nothing but virtual machines. Okay, the docs I read earlier said swap had to be disabled. It had to be disabled on the Kubernetes node. And the Kubernetes node is virtual. So I can turn swap off on that. Okay, but okay, let me ask the question again. The Kubernetes sanity check won't fail with that config. Does the host OS for the virtual machines have to have swap disabled? The answer I think is no, even though it might be penalized. The machine that is running the node, Kubernetes kubeadm does a sanity check. Wait a second. kubeadm is, okay, another question I have. Does kubeadm run on the node, or can I run kubeadm the same place I would run kubectl? I know the web page said, look, Jalopy, I don't believe it said that. I think it's per node. It's not virtual machine. It's not. This is talking about. This is assuming that you have a machine. You know what I'm saying? I think this is. I think this is about. It's more about that, right? The host OS can swap, but you'll get a per fit, right? So what I'm trying to say is that I can disable swap. No, I can't. Can I? I can't. I'd have to do. Do I have to change the grub config to disable swap on my next boot? I gotta go look at VM management at memory management again. Yeah, it's been so long since I've done host system memory management. I need to figure out how to. I think I just need to cat to swap. I don't think I can. You can't do that dynamically though. Yeah. Alpha support for swap, really? 1.22 added alpha support for swap. I didn't know that. Swap off and stop using it. I think you just don't you just cat like 0 to something in proc? Yeah, can you? But doesn't it kill whatever's using swap already? You know what? Let me try. This is good. This is good learning. I want to do this. Okay, because I want to turn swap off. Disable. Watch my whole stream just die. Dynamically. I'm pretty sure it's just, you're just going to echo, you cat something out to like one of the proc. Yeah. It's just swap, so it should be fine. Kernel will handle it, or it'll panic. One of the two. one of the two. Since the data in RAM, I prefer not having disk. Yes. That's why we're just how to run a VM. I haven't ever thought about that. Either way, I'm watching. If it fails, we'll learn something. So even if you have a lot of RAM, it's not the best idea to completely work without swap. I've thought that for a long time, but I'm being told that that's not true anymore. Everybody's yelling at me for thinking that. I still think that. It's like, no, that's old school thinking. Like, no, it's like, you don't need swap if you have enough memory. I was like, yeah, but there's that one time when you push the limit and you wish you hadn't, and having a little bit of swap saves you. Shell check is so OP. It is so great. I know. Shell check is amazing. The fact that they wrote their own bash parser that has POSIX awareness is just so fucking awesome. If you're not using shell check, you should. We scared all the YouTube people away. They're gone. They're all gone. They're either all gone or over here now. One of the two. Just search for the web for encrypted swap. No. Fuck no. Sudo swap off. Is it really that easy? It can't possibly be that easy. When did they change it? I want a cat 0 to my proc. I'm not satisfied by this stupid easy sudo swap on /a. What the fuck is that? That's way too easy. Whippersnappers with your sudo swap on and off. Oh, there it is. Every time it might be an FS tab. Just saying swap. Fine. You know I have to know what this is though. Swap off. Oh, it's an elf binary. Damn. Alrighty. Strings. I'm not satisfied. XXD-R swap off pipe to Vim. That's not hard enough. Table, new cache result tag table reset iter block ID. It is doing. Check it. It's actually doing some cool stuff. Yeah. Lol. I mean, I don't feel as intimately acquainted with this thing. Oh, there's the help. You use Vim as a hex editor? Yeah, you can. There's like an extra thing too. Exec a cat to proc. That's what I was gonna do. I bet that's exactly what it does. I bet it does. I mean, you know, I'm like overlooking this. I get it, but special file. Is it proc swaps? Swap off disable swapping specified when a -a flag is given. Swapping is disabled on all known swap devices and files. Oh, because it has multiple devices, so it manages them all. Yeah. Why not -h? Because it's a man page. What's the problem with you and your -h, you cloud person? Discard. People tend to use -h more who've been using Kubernetes because it doesn't have man pages for stuff. I noticed. Swap on discard pages, label proc partitions is needed. This way, swap options, discard pages, no fail. Wow. I'll put all no headings, summary. Well, system has insufficient memory to stop swapping. Oh, that's a great error. Hey, look, numeric return errors that are not 0. This is why 0 is success in Bash. In case you're wondering. I'm going to use this example now every time I teach it. Like, why 1 is always true. Why do they have to return 0 for true in Bash? Why do they have to be different? That's why. Right here. I wrote in while he was looking. Okay, wait. Just check my FS tab. I have a comment. Kubernetes doesn't like swap. Sudo swap off -a. There you go. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm not okay. Btrfs. Are we running Btrfs over here? We aren't, right? I hope not. It's cool and all, but All right, sudo swap off. Actually, that was very uneventful. That was really uneventful. Oh, look, swap is now 0. 0 free, 0 used, 0 available. Liars. Oh, that's still a very available memory. Or is it? Now, because it's got a period, see? That's because it's got a period. The period here means these go together. Thanks for the link. Run knows a swap. Oh, let's go look. Open link in new window. New Kubernetes Alpha support for using swap memory from Alana. Red Hat's doing all the Kubernetes innovation these days, it seems like. I mean, it really does. I'm going to have to take a job at Red Hat. I mean, there's some good shit going on over there. And I won't lie, they're like very enterprise focused, for better or worse. I don't know. It's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, I used Red Hat for years. Fedora and Red Hat and everything. I got mixed feelings on it, though. I really do. They aren't doing it all? No, they're not. Yeah, they are pretty amazing. Hi, Bob. LTM Bob's in the house. Lots of work to progress. There definitely is. Lately, though, I've been hearing a lot about Red Hat contributions. And, but then, there's Podman, and I've kind of softened my position on Podman, but still. Cgroups v2, Kubernetes cannot use swap memory. Pods. Yep. It's just alpha support for swap memory on nodes. Interesting. Okay. HTOP. Hey, look, 0K out of 0K swap, and it didn't even hurt anything. No more swap here. Swap is gone. All right, so I'll put this. Don't forget to disable swap to sudo swap off -a before creating VMs. And that's fine. So that's in my log notes now. All right, close that guy for now. And so no more swap. What was the problem in the first place? No problem. No problem. We were trying to decide. Red Hat does have a big community, Bob. Yes, I agree. Ansible is incredible. That's what I think Ansible was the one that I was thinking of. ExploitDB, you'll notice that they are very active in security research. Absolutely. They really are. Yeah, Bob, you've been pretty public about where you work now. How's that going? You mind telling us? Speaking of security. All material. I'm not going to say it unless you decide you want to keep talking about it. We don't know what we're doing. That's the problem. The docs suck. They kind of do. So Bob might be actually interested in this. I don't know if he is, but the Kubernetes docs are up for, fixing. We can go in there and kind of help out and stuff like that. Diana's amazing. The OpenShift community manager. Yeah. Description of your job for the last 10 years. So we've found, Tanya, I don't know if you have any insight. Do you happen to know the leader of the Kubernetes doc movement? I'm not trying to attack anybody here, but I actually want to make a contact, because after I get a lot of this information down, one of the ways I want to contribute to the Kubernetes world is this, because we're already getting a little bit of some discrepancy here in some of the docs, and I would, once I understand it, I'd really like to try to create kind of a unique voice across all of the documentation on the Kubernetes site. There tends to be, there's a number of, I've already submitted some PRs and stuff from people, and they've been very, very helpful. This isn't a complaint. I just looking for opportunities to help. And since I do so much of documentation, writing and everything, it might be a way for me to, I've been taking notes when there's discrepancies, just so I can help. I hope you'll work on formatting of documentation. I really like this. There's many, many things that I really like about it. It's just some of it is a little bit circuitous. Yeah, I found that participate doc. Yeah, I'll go back there and look again. You all right, Hack the Box style, Bob? You're still there? We just announced the Bug Bounty Hunter learning path. Oh, fun stuff. Super cool. So if you're not following LTN_Bob on Twitch or whatever he's doing these days, he's in my Twitch house right now. He's actually one of the main people, one of two people who got me to stream in the first place. I blame him. And he's over at Hack the Box now, working on learning materials for them. And he's got a lot of really fun stuff to go through. And I love Bob's approach because he's very clear when he communicates. He's very like this and then this and then this. And you know how it is. Usually we engineers get really fast, and he's been doing education for a long time. You wouldn't be at Hack the Box without me. It's my fault. Oh, I don't know about that. It's because you grew your hair out. That's the real reason you got the job, because you grew your hair out. I'm just kidding. Dude, yeah, Bob grew his hair out. He's like badass hacker now. Meanwhile, I've got the John Deere hat on. I'd like to thank you for contributing to the streaming. Yeah, I learned a lot from him. He had a blast heckling. Oh, you guys are crazy. Bob, Jalopy Jones is the one to blame for me getting Witcher running. He got Rich running. Bob loves Witcher too. He's obsessed with Witcher too. He actually the only person in my stream last night, I swear to God, on YouTube anyway. He's like, I love this game. I love watching Rob play this game. Jalopy's like, just click on enable Proton, please. And I was like, no, it can't be that easy. I refuse. It's going to take you 5 minutes. And I was like, no, it's like 15 minutes. It's 15. And then I made a video telling everybody else how to do it because I was like, oh my God, this is so easy. I just expect everything to be hard because I'm old. That's why. That is legitimately the reason. Taniwa. So true or false? This is no longer Docker shim. And as of 1.21, so I need somebody that knows more about this than I do to answer this question. Docker was Kubernetes was pretty, loud about removing Docker shim. And I have a feeling that this is now var run docker.sock. Yeah. Okay. So that would be one correction. I think that's important though, because people mount that socket all the time if they want to run Docker within their things, right? They're not supposed to, but, so that's one area. I mean, that was one of the things. Another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way here, and I'll just, it's containerd. Is it going to be containerd going forward for sure? All right. I mean, I knew containerd was the fault. I wasn't sure if it was going to be still called Docker. It sounds like no. You don't even do the work. I give a link to someone that actually did the work. True micromanagement philosophy. Absolutely. This kind of annoyed me. All right. So I'm going to express this again and then we'll move on. So I spent an extremely long time reading the Getting Started Kubernetes IO doc and focused on the thing where it said, there's what I even did a little quiz today. What are the three main components that are required for a node? What are the three main components that are required for a node? The container runtime, right? The kubelet agent, the user agent, and the kube proxy. And we're still trying, I was going to nmap everything and trying to figure out who talks to whom. And so those are the three things. And then I come along and I'm reading about how to set up my system with kubeadm. And it says, you will install these packages on all of your machines. I think this is incorrect. So is it true? Is it true that kubeadm has to be installed on all nodes? I believe that's a false statement. Kubelet has to be on all nodes, right? I believe this is a real fucking wrong statement. Now, here's where it gets interesting, okay? So kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to your cluster. From what I understand, kubectl, the command line util that will talk to A kubeadm can install only master node. It has nothing to do with kubelet and worker nodes. Absolutely. And so I believe this information is just dead wrong. And that's what Jalopy was complaining about. This is a little misleading, particularly when we're reading about the nodes. Okay, so take that and set it aside for a second. So I go on to Minikube because I thought, hey, maybe there's a chance in Minikube SSH I can install kubeadm in a Minikube because it's not there, and we'll just use it there and it'll just be good. No, wrong. Don't do it. And because there's too much magic in Minikube, this has fucked up the ability to. But in the process of doing it, I went to install kubeadm, which has a critical package dependency on kubelet and kubectl. It will not install using apt install without kubelet and kubectl being installed already, if you install it using the package manager. That blew me away, because then I'm like, okay, is there an interdependency issue going on here? Is kubeadm actually calling something from kubectl, which wouldn't make any sense? They're independent executables. So I'll watch you after watching the stream and haven't been able to make heads or tails of it, and I can't risk breaking my rig. Right. And this is kind of, if this is supposed to be my only source for certification information, I'm kind of glad that I'm going to this source so that maybe I can contribute something back and fix it. Because right now I'm pretty damn confused and I'm going to figure it out. But this particular paragraph right here, this bullet point list, is really confusing me, particularly because when I went to install kubeadm, it automatically installed kubelet and kubectl. We're about to do a test to confirm that that's also true on a brand new node, which might not be. I can't imagine why it would be different. It's the same package. Binary system services, CAN certificate issues, and separate etcd. Right. Yeah, and we talked about the etcd stuff earlier, right? If you want to get your hands dirty with Kubernetes setup, you should do it a good old way. You can't separate out etcd anymore. No way, man. That's what burned us this week. I would never do that. That has not been the standard way to do a Kubernetes deployment since 1.20, I would suggest. And I'm new. But after reading all the kubeadm stuff recently, that's been updated, super valuable. There is no doc or diagram describing kubelet architecture. Yeah, that would be. I'm trying to figure out what's talking to what. This talks to this thing, not just the relationships. I want to know on what port is it communicating. Like if I'm a network engineer, I want to be able to look at a diagram and go, this is what's up. So, you know what I mean? Hello. Kubernetes hides a lot of steps from me. It really does. And I think that's a detriment to those who are trying to learn. So, I mean, this is important stuff to learn. I'm still new. Thank God I got, the basics with networking and infrastructure to kind of poke around at the pieces and figure out how they work. And since I'm doing that, I might as well document as we go. So, so that's where we are. I'm going to go to 4 today, by the way, just in case you're wondering. kubeadm, I think, can join a worker to your cluster, hence them asking to install all nodes. So I did it manually, and after it came kubeadm and kubespray. See, I don't know if I should use kubespray or not. I'm trying to decide. I feel like using kubespray and Vagrant and all of those tools is too early for me. I feel like I need to do it, as you said, But installing an external etcd is not a thing. It's like a bad thing to do now, an anti-pattern. Somebody backed me up on that. Dude, we installed, so our cluster has the old school way of installing an external etcd and with its own certificate expirations and everything. And so, and then we went through and we started upgrading our system, and according to the current docs, it upgrades your certs and updates every time you do a new version of Kubernetes, which is at least once a year. So you're guaranteed, if you keep up, to always have your certs be in order. But we got burned. Our whole dev cluster went down because the certs expired, because etcd was not managed under the Kubernetes installation because it was old school. And that's a pretty big deal. You think kubespray uses kubeadm? Really? I did not know that. You think kubespray uses kubeadm? Well, I'm gonna do it the old school way. I'm gonna try to set up 3 nodes and see if my computer doesn't fall on its face. And true or false, the control plane has to be installed on a node. The control plane requires a node as opposed to just a machine. In other words, it requires kubectl and kubeproxy and everything to be on there. So if the definition of a Kubernetes node is containerd, kubelet, and kubeproxy, then true or false, the container plane, the control plane requires installation on a node. On my desktop, I run master plus 3 worker nodes in VMs. Yeah, but you have a ton. Yeah, you have 16 procs, right? I mean CPUs. I think you do. I only have 8. I found out. You said two gig of memory each. You have 12? Fuck you. I'm gonna Threadripper. I'm gonna use the wonderful money, the dollars that you guys send me and GitHub or however for sponsorship, and I'm gonna bump it up to a Threadripper so that I can do more live tutorials. The reason that I think it's so important for me to get this down using virtual machines is because we can fire up rather than depending on cloud, stuff, which is fine too. I just don't want to do that. Just security implications for doing that for me as a streamer. If I get a Pro, right? If I get a Threadripper with 64 cores, I can deploy like entire infrastructures represented in machine learning stuff on stream. And so I can play around with different things and what is the Istio thing going to do here? And we can sit there and watch all of it. In fact, we can put, and so that is, the Ryzen, you got the Ryzen. Kubernetes is self-hosted. So yes, there are always ways to hack around it. Kubernetes defines APIs which you can implement against. The controller could technically be SAS, yeah. So Kubernetes is self-hosted. Okay. So what you're trying to tell me is that, so step 1, find some computers. And in this case, I'm going to write this down. Because this is not written anywhere in here, by the way. It's, if you try to say, if you're, I'm not going to get started on that. If you're trying to actually run a vanilla Kubernetes install, you have to go to the kubeadm tool to get the information about how to do it. There's nothing that says how to, so yeah. So learning environment, I think it's because it's under production environment. I think that was why that we had a problem. So let's go to production environment. Production quality in Kubernetes requires planning and preparation. If your Kubernetes clusters run critical workloads, it must blah, blah, blah. And this is no. Cluster setup. Control plane as a control plane. Choose deployment tools. The next section. Install Kubernetes. That passed already. Production worker nodes. Production quality workloads to be resilient, such as core DNS. Configure nodes. Nodes can be physical virtual machines. If you want to create and manage your own nodes, install and support operating system, then add and run the appropriate node services. Drinking coffee. Yeah. No, you're all fine. Thank you. Validate nodes. See validate node setup. Add nodes to the cluster. If you're managing your own cluster, you can add nodes by saying. To me, the thing I haven't figured out is what the fuck is the first thing to install. I still don't know. What is the first thing? If I'm going to start, so there's no breakdown of the steps, and as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, but on what? Okay, so let's. I don't get mad at me. I'm just asking questions everybody else has. Okay, so what are the steps to getting a cluster in VM and VirtualBox? All right. So, step 1, I would suggest you need to decide how many you have. Right. So, you have actually the first thing you have to do is you have to create the operating systems. Right. So you have to let's do it one at a time. So you need to create a machine for the control plane. And I'm going to say, assuming you only have 8 gig of RAM. No, only have 8 CPU and 16 gig of RAM. RAM. So So first of all, we need to create a machine, create a VM for the control plane components, right? And then we need to set a production environment, Kubernetes create. I think we just did that. Isn't that the one I was just on? Production environment, tools, kubeadm, create cluster kubeadm. Yeah, that's the page I was just on. Yeah, that's the page I was just on. So production user management, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm trying to make is it says install deployment. So we click on this, right? And it says bootstrap installing Kubernetes with hops, kubespray. I'm not going to do with kubespray. Bootstrapping clusters with kubeadm. I don't know what that means. Installing Kubernetes with deployment tools. Why would they say bootstrapping? Control plane endpoint. This is the one I think that you're talking about. All right, so bootstrapping clusters with kubeadm, installing kubeadm. So this is the hardest way to do it, but I'm doing it that way on purpose. Installing kubeadm. This page shows you how to install. We already did this. So before we begin, this is the one. Okay, so this is what kubeadm needs to be on. The question I still have is, does kubeadm have to be on every node? The answer is no. It doesn't. It can be, but it's not required to be. So, do you see? What I don't know is it. So, what do I even install it on? Do I install kubeadm on my work desktop in order to manage all the other stuff? It has to be installed on the control plane, right? So I think kubeadm is like the control plane thing, right? It's like the main thing that has to be on it. In fact, I believe we have a diagram of that already, right? Let me go back to my diagram on Kubernetes, which I want to make a better copy of, but you're bootstrapping the control plane. Right. Which is what I want to know all the pieces. I want to install all the pieces one at a time. And if we're going to do kubespray later, that's fine, or minikube, but I want to understand the pieces and know how they're getting put on there. So I guess that's what's meant by bootstrapping, right? So learning Kubernetes, creating a cluster. No, we're going back to the concepts. This is the one that has the cluster architecture. No, overview is right here. No, that's not it. So hard. So kind, minikube, and kubeadm. Where is that? Nope. Getting started. What is it? Concepts, I think it is. Overview, cluster architecture, containers, workloads. I feel like this changed. I feel like that changed. What is Kubernetes? Yeah, we read this. The hardware may be relevant. Yeah, I know. I think I might do it. The problem with that is, Antonio Black Mouse, I want to use that, and I know that that's like the definitive way to learn Kubernetes. I've heard everybody talk about that, but I don't know. The problem I have with doing that is that it's going to eliminate my ability to refer to something if I needed to. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to stick with the standard docs here, so that if, it might be a little bit more painful, but I feel like, I don't know, part of me, I mean, let's see. I've already learned a bunch about Kubernetes already. So my, purity when it comes to like being a noob has been tainted. I mean, I've already heard what a lot of other people said about how it's working, and I've used it in different ways. So when I'm reading the documents, I'm not providing a pure, you didn't read the docs, right? But you got your cert. So I'm actually doing this on purpose, and people might think it's stupid, but the reason that I'm using the officially supported documents from the project that can be used on the certification is for the benefit of everyone. Because if these docs are not as good as Kelsey Hightower's book, oh, you haven't got your cert yet? If they're not as good as Kelsey Hightower's book, then why don't we make Kelsey Hightower's book included in the planning? So the reason I talked about being, impure in terms of being a noob when it comes to reading the docs here is I've already not providing a clean, insight into this documentation, how it would be interpreted by a new, because I've already got new information, right? For example, I picked kind right away versus Minikube because somebody told me to use kind. I wish I hadn't. I wish I had started with Minikube. It's fine. Now I know about both of them. The reason I'm saying any of this is because I think I'm giving myself permission to go through Kubernetes the hard way book and move my learning that way, and to follow that step-by-step guide. And then it was a plain experimenting, right? And I think that's the best way to learn. I really do. So let's say we go experimenting like in Kubernetes the hard way, and we follow that, or just playing around with Kubernetes, and we just read about the commands and everything. And then we come back to the docs and we kind of review. The problem with that is I don't think I'll ever go back to the docs, to tell you the truth. I won't. I'll skip them. The reason I think that the docs suffer from a little bit of unclarity here is because I don't think anybody's giving them any attention. Because they're all reading Kelsey's book or some other book out there, and they're figuring it out, and they're going on their way. They're not, and then they get to certain, they don't care. So yeah, I feel like you're going to be coming back to this to read about the documentation. It's more of a search-based kind of thing. It's not a progressive thing, right? I know that's kind of this is really good for beginners. This page right here about what is Kubernetes, this is like a real strong page. I really love this page. I guess that's what I'd recommend them, right? Now using docs as reference to templates. Yes. And I told everybody the reason I'm getting the cert so is if you choose to get the cert, I can help you, but ultimately you got to do way more than that to be able to do all this stuff. This is a fantastic, we already went through this page like 3 sessions ago. This is a really great justification. This is also why I'm going to start doing Minikube for beginners, because it automatically introduces them to a virtual machine if they've never used one. And then, because you can't say a container is a better thing than a virtual machine, it builds on the technology, even though it's different technology. They're like, what is a virtual machine? So we're adding that back as a step. So virtualization. We got some feedback on YouTube here. Yep. Look at cluster architecture. Sorry, Kubernetes components. Yes. Thanks. So here we go. We have the components. We have the pods. Here's the diagram that's nice. I really still feel like this is missing a container runtime right here. And somebody said, strictly speaking, it's not Kubernetes. And I'm like, it's not true anymore. But I mean, etcd isn't either, so. Also, Shadow says on YouTube, since the docs can be referenced during the exam, unlike Red Hat, learning to the docs should be the way. And that's what I've been saying. So basically my goal in taking the certification exams is not so much to learn the skill. I can learn a skill on my own, but it's to smooth the path to using what the certification exam, potentially, hopefully even influencing the certs themselves, or how the documentation is created for the certs, with perhaps a long-term goal of contributing whatever I can to that effort, of getting people ready, because clearly they have to get ready. I mean, this stuff's not going anywhere. So, people have got to be able to digest this, and it's the biggest hurdle right now is digesting it. It's really big pill to swallow, even if you already have, ingested all of Linux and networking and everything. So here we got Sketch, API, etcd, CM, and CM. See, I don't see anything that says kubeadm is running on here. And of course, kubeadm is just a command that talks to the API. But what I would like to see are what are the critical components that are installed here. So there's a package installed, kubeadm needs to be installed here. Now you're using the command, the docs as reference to templates because it's like kubectl. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm not trying to sip. So I need 2 gig of RAM. So I have 16. How much left do I have? Let's get on to some fun thing. So create a VM for the control plane components. Create a VM. Do we need to install should we install the control plane components first? We should, maybe I do need to open up Kelsey's book because he's already done this. So let's do that. I've been trying to decide whether this is justifying a justified diversion. Everybody talks about this as like the thing to open. Set up kubeadm. Where'd you find that? And you check out the Kubernetes getting started guides. Yeah. I mean, we'll leave that here and see. But see, I don't know how you got there. So, I mean, I would if I click on getting started, I want to know how to install Kubernetes, and I honestly I don't see how to do it. Download Kubernetes to deploy a Kubernetes cluster on your local machine into the cloud or for your data center. All right, download Kubernetes. So download Kubernetes, core Kubernetes components, blah, 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 kubectl. The Kubernetes command line tool Kubernetes allows you to run commands against the Kubernetes clusters. It has to run anywhere. Boom, we did this, right? Okay, great. What else? Now what? Do I have to go back? I guess so. So going back and going down, download Kubernetes. This is not all of the Kubernetes components, obviously. Core Kubernetes components. Find links to download Kubernetes components and their checksums in the changelog files. Alternatively, use downloadkubernetes.com to filter by version architecture. kubectl, blah, blah, blah. Install Linux, did that already. But that's, okay, installing kubectl is not enough to get Kubernetes. That is not Kubernetes. It's just not enough. Look, I'm a noob. I'm a total noob. I'm coming to the docs brand new, okay? I want to know one thing. How do I install Kubernetes in my testing environment without using Minikube or Kind? First of all, I don't even know what Minikube and Kind are. And I've already been down both those paths, and none of them let me test search stuff with kubeadm. So I want kubeadm, right? So home, available documentation, versions. Well, latest, we got that. So this is the available documentation. I think that's probably fine. Okay. Biggest flaw of the docs is my point. Reference for Kubernetes tooling commands, official docs. The problem is Kubernetes isn't just a single implementation. It needs to be distro agnostic, and there are many ways. Yeah. But if you're trying to help an absolute beginner who does nothing more than Linux, you're like, what is the first thing I need to do? Getting started. So, when you install Kubernetes, choose an installation type, ease of maintenance, security, blah, blah, blah. You can download Kubernetes to deploy a Kubernetes cluster on a local machine into the cloud or your own data center. Great. When I click on this here, by the way, it doesn't do any of those things. So if you want to manage a Kubernetes cluster yourself, you can, look, I am not picking on the authors here. I am sincerely trying to get to the answers as easy as possible, as easy as other people would do. Go to the lowest section. Okay, it says here, if you don't want to manage a Kubernetes cluster yourself, you can pick a managed service. Nope, don't want to do that. Learning environment. If you're learning Kubernetes, all right. If you're learning Kubernetes, use the tools supported by the Kubernetes community or the ecosystem, blah, blah, blah. You set up a cluster on a local machine. See install tools, right? This is for the learning environment or production environment. We're going to skip production environment for right now. We'll say learning environment. Install tools. Okay. I have to install kubectl. This I know, which is, by the way, that other one. That one I know about. Kind, which is the one I first installed, which is nice. Or Minikube. Okay, great. And then it gives you an option to do kubeadm as opposed to that. So there are officially install tools. So the one that I wish they would do, I mean, I understand why all of these are on the same page, but kubectl, you have to have that no matter what. It doesn't really tell you where it goes. Command line tool allows you to run commands against Kubernetes clusters, to deploy applications, blah, blah, blah. I have a very easy question. Where does this thing run? If somebody would put a comment there and say, this is your main tool for doing any interactions with Kubernetes, and is usually installed on your workstation desktop. You can set up a cluster without kubectl. I know, but I think that they need to say the scope of why. There's not enough scenario description about why you want kubectl. It's like, it allows you to run commands against the cluster. Okay. Why would I want to, so all of them do, right? Kind lets you run Kubernetes on your local computer. This tool requires that you have Docker installed and configured. Okay, that's pretty clear. Minikube, like Kind, Minikube is a tool that runs locally, a single cluster in your personal computer, including Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So that you can, I'm glad they added that. That was not there before. So that you can try out Kubernetes for daily development work. Great. You can follow the official Getting Started guide for Minikube. Okay, that's great. kubeadm. You can use KubeADM tool to create and manage Kubernetes clusters. It performs the actions necessary to gain a minimum viable, secure cluster up and running in a user-friendly way. Installing KubeADM shows you how to install KubeADM. Once installed, you can use it to create a cluster. It doesn't say where to install it, though. It's like, I wish it would, maybe that's here. I want it to tell us that the system you're installing KubeADM on is your control plane. That's your main node for the control plane. It doesn't have to be that way, right, though? So I think that's the problem. This page shows you how to install KubeADM Toolbox. For more information on how to create a cluster with KubeADM once you perform, we've been reading this all day. Before you begin, we need all of this stuff, right? So this is just for KubeADM, but it doesn't tell me whether or not this is going to be used as something else, right? It doesn't, I don't know what else is getting installed on this when I put KubeADM on. Docker file 1.3, I don't know. I have to check. Something to test. Yes. Verify the MAC address and produce. Okay. Check network adapters. Let IP tables set bridge traffic. To me, all of this setup information suggests that this is going to be the main server for Kubernetes. It's just like control center number one. The most important system that you will log in and use will be running KubeADM on it. And even if you choose to install the control plane nodes on other systems, this system will be the central system. It's like your bridge of your Starship Enterprise. Whatever machine ends up with a KubeADM on it, it doesn't have to be, depending on how you distribute all the other control plane elements, it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge machine, but I might have appreciated some consideration for that here. It says a compatible Linux host. The Kubernetes project provides generic instructions for Linux distribution based on Debian and Red Hat, and for those distributions with package manager. It'll migrate. Also consider what happens if your API server dies. Right. So that's why it would have to have more than one API server. But as we understand it, API servers are just nodes, right? I mean, I'm still not clear on that particular point. Head behind KubeADM logo looks good. I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, it does. Your brain on Kubernetes. I didn't even notice that. It's kind of funny. So, all right. So before we begin, Linux compatible Linux host, the Kubernetes project provides blah blah blah. So, I don't know how to do it, but I kind of, okay, so just, I'm going to table this and just move on so I can leave it alone. If I were going to approach the install with KubeADM thing, I would have a relatively large amount of a sort of discussion about what you want to do with KubeADM. Now this was linked. We linked to this from a learning Kubernetes thing. So I would have said, if you prefer to install an actual cluster, blah, blah, blah. Maybe there needs to be a couple scenarios there. Like maybe you want to do Raspberry Pi, maybe you want to do, I can see that. I can see that happening. And that's someplace I'm just trying to think about what I might be able to contribute eventually. Because this, it leaves you kind of wondering, well, is KubeADM going to be running in the same way kubectl does? Does it remotely like spin stuff up or not? And it sounds like no. So definitely by taints, defined by taints. Oh, really? Yeah, I played with taints and tolerations already. Yeah, we've done taints and tolerations. Yeah, is that how they do it? It just maps them. We did. You weren't here, but we did a pretty big Tony. We did a pretty big deep dive into how all of those pieces communicate. It's funny we ended up back on the same page within the control plane, and it turned out that they're all just pods, right? Endpoints, experimenting with strange stuff, edge computing. Oh boy, KubeADM on all nodes. You have to have KubeADM on all nodes for clusters with like that. Okay, so if KubeADM is on every single node, why isn't it listed as a mandatory node component? True or false? KubeADM has to be on every node. I believe the answer is false to that. I think you, in strictly speaking, you only need kubeadm installed on one system, and that is the primary, at least a piece of your primary control plane, which may be spread out across multiple machines. Single node cluster, yeah. It's an installer? kubeadm is an installer. What? Wait a second. kubeadm is an installer. But does it have to be, do you have to, so does it only install things locally? That makes sense that it would. I wouldn't be able to SSH into a remote system. That's probably what kubespray is about. So you're telling me, wait a second. So what you're saying is that I can put kubeadm on the same system I'm going to be calling kubectl from, my host system in this case. It cannot install kubelet and container engine. All right, I think I'm finally getting it. So kubeadm, okay, well, I would have totally missed that. What you're saying is that kubectl and kubeadm actually are in the same scope. It just turns out kubeadm has to be on Linux and not Windows or Mac. That they are communicating. They're not doing anything that requires local access, which would infer that I have to install kubeproxy, but then I don't know how that gets installed on something unless it's going to SSH in to do it. So what I'm hearing you say is that I can actually install kubeadm on my host workstation and then add VMs. I don't have to install kubeadm into the control planes in any way. If you have plans to upgrade this single control plane kubeadm cluster to high availability, you should specify the control plane endpoint to set the shared endpoint for all control plane nodes. Such an endpoint can be either a DNS name or an IP address for a load balancer. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm getting it. I'm just wondering how kubeadm does anything remotely. How can it install anything if it has to do it remotely? Yeah. You can the kubelet manually and start them via systemd or other NIT. See, that's what I thought. Are you saying kubeadm actually installs kubelet? So kubeadm installs kubelet on target endpoints? If that's true, then it can configure it, but it doesn't install it, right? I see. All right, now it's starting to make sense. All right. The way I have to test this at work is I want to see if I can put kubeadm on my own. What you're suggesting is that kubeadm can be installed on any system, any Linux system that has kubectl also installed on it, and it totally work. That's what I'm hearing you say. What I'm hearing you say is that if kubeadm, in terms of like network connectivity and how it accomplishes everything it does, kubeadm is just a different version of kubectl with different functions specifically related to administration, and therefore has to run on a Linux system. You can't run it on your Mac or your Windows. So if that's true, if that's true, it's just a client. The end. Right? It doesn't install shit. That's what I'm hearing you say. kubeadm doesn't install anything. So the reason the diagram for the node components has kubelet and kubeproxy is because those are packages that have to be installed, which is interesting. So that would also explain why kubeadm had a prerequisite on kubectl being installed, because it would normally appear where there's a kubectl. It didn't make any sense to me before. All right, so kubeadm is an end user command line tool that runs on work. It can run anywhere, but it can, and probably a lot of times does, run on an admin workstation, just like kubectl would for somebody who's doing CCAD development. So these requirements down here don't That's not, these are the requirements for a node. These are the requirements for kubeadm to work. Bottom line. So that's big. That's a big difference. So that means I don't have to. Yeah. All right. So the next question is, what kind of systems do I have? When you run kubelet, it downloads container images like API server, C9, sometimes etcd and friends. Yeah. So the normal process here, we're going to need to create a VM for the control plane components, create a VM for a, we'll call it master node. Now, I understand these can be combined. Create a VM for a worker node. And this is, I know this from my own stuff. All that is via container D. Right. Once you get the container on there, then everything is just that. So, yeah, so this is going to be, now this is where it gets interesting, because you can install etcd and all that other stuff wherever you want to. I imagine kubeadm has a method of installing those components as well, saying, and like bringing them in. Yeah. Master node. All VMs should have at least 2 CPU and 2 gigabytes RAM allocated. Now this is just for learning, right? So besides, we're going to do this without using a VM. It'd be fair up upgrading a version compatibility. So that's actually not bad. Real quick, the next question is, which OS do we use? The documentation is for either Red Hat or Debian based, and that means I either use Ubuntu or Debian. I'm probably going to use Debian though. I noticed they changed this to Debian. I think it was Ubuntu before. Linux distribution based on Debian and Red Hat. The only disadvantage of Debian is you have to do your PPA and stuff like that. That's why the documentation doesn't have it using add PPA like using the stuff that's hosted by Ubuntu. You know what I'm talking about? The extra PPA stuff that Ubuntu added. So you still have to add, if you're going to add package hosts, you gotta actually add them to your source distro list like in the old days. If you're going to do Debian, Debian doesn't have the extra stuff that you can do with add PPA, the extra apt add PPA thing. There's documentation without package manager. Yes, I remember that. You really like the API versioning in Kubernetes. I do too. PPA works with Debian, by the way. Does it? Ubuntu wants to use snaps. Yeah, fuck that. I don't want anything to do with Ubuntu anymore. I'm really glad that is it true, Taniwa, that your sense of, I mean, you're really plugged into everybody. Is it true that the sense is that they're moving away from Ubuntu dependencies? It feels to me like cloud native in general is moving away from Ubuntu. That they're moving to Debian and Red Hat. As they're not saying it straight out, like these are the distros that we're going to support, but they kind of just did. This is the documentation is for Debian or Red Hat. You do anything else, you're on your own, right? And that's fine. And there's lots of other really interesting distros that are coming out. What was it? Taurus is one. There's a couple others. Anyway, I'm going to go with Debian. So I have to make a decision. The reason why am I dwelling on this so long? Because I got this stupid thing over my head again, don't I? It's like I planned it or something. Ubuntu's never been cloud native besides some of the IoT distro stuff. Okay, good. I'm not in that SIG. They likely want rootless though. Yeah. Well, the containerd is rootless now too, isn't it? I know there's like big talk for pushing for Podman, and I guess I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Oh, distro less. Right. But I mean, at some point they do have to make a choice. Like when it comes to the documentation, for example, they gotta pick one, and so even if this doesn't represent the direction of the Cloud Native Foundation, let's put all of Kubernetes components in snaps and Flatpak. It probably exists. I bet it does. I bet Canonical's busy doing that. I wonder what the Arch Pac-Man landscape looks like. I bet it's all there because Arch is usually on top of that shit. Usually, I'd still be scared of it, but it's just tools and snap, yeah. But images, packages don't need a choice. Yep, it turns into Docker images deployed in Kubernetes, and that's really what it comes down to. You can just pull the Docker images themselves ultimately. Yeah, self-hosted. Yeah, and I love that. I love that it's just based on containers. It's the packaging system. Ultimately, that's what's up. So you really don't care about installing anything but the base. I mean, the kubelet could probably just do a go install, I bet. Right? I haven't got that far. All right. So I think I've got what I need. I need to create a VM for the control plane. So in case anybody's just tuning in and wondering what's going to go on for the next, half hour or so, I have set aside I've set aside Minikube, and now I'm building an actual Kubernetes learning infrastructure using virtual machines, as many as I can fit on this tiny little 8-core computer of mine. And there's a number of extra steps to do that are not particularly apparent in just the Kubernetes IO documentation that have been coming up out of this, and we've got lots of wonderful people from all over the Kubernetes space here in our chat with us today that are kind of helping me out with this. Because I do want to create sort of a simple tutorial. The Raspberry Pi thing is another way to go, but the more I realize how powerful the VM approach is, after having seen the internals of how Minikube is deployed with a VM, I'm kind of a fan of doing it as virtual machines first, and then even supplementing that infrastructure with a node that's running on Raspberry Pi and adding to, so you do the kind of the Minikube thing to get going, and then to understand, Kubernetes resources stuff. And then you do your first real cluster is a bunch of VMs and then, locally, and then maybe add in a Raspberry Pi. And then maybe after that, maybe add in, some hybrid cloud stuff as well. And using the Cloud Controller Manager, which I was just reading about the other day. So that's where I am. Comment, I think some OCI specifications were created outside Docker though. Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's the container images. What I think, I don't think he meant Docker images. Actually, I think he meant container images. Yeah. Let's see. Deploy Debian VM with 2 CPU, 2 gig RAM for setting up worker nodes, then shut it down and reconfigure to 1 CPU, 1 gig RAM. Deploy a Debian VM with 2 CPU. What? That sounds hard. What is handshaking? Does that have anything to do with the IPv6? That's a question completely out of left field. Maybe somebody can help you answer your homework question. This is pick up some Docker, yes. Okay. All right. So that means I have to get me a Debian image, so I have to download that. And I'm just going to go look for the latest. Do a Google search on this. Debian. I don't even know if there's a latest Debian image. It's been a long time since I downloaded a Linux image. It's going to be funny watching me. I haven't been installing Linux distros very much over the last 2 years. Good old Debian. I love Debian. I need a big old poster of Debian behind me. Yeah. Some of the people in the Debian community are total assholes, though, just like any community. like all the people asking Linus Torvalds questions about the EFF and the GPL v3. I was like, oh my God, can you just not? You don't know what I'm talking about. Go watch that video. It's so good. We should probably put it on the background, except for YouTube to yell at me. Use net install. I don't want to use net install. There's the fast installation process and stacking worker nodes as much as your hardware can handle. Oh, right. Oh, well, I'm going to do the, okay, so just everybody watching this, there's a lot of pros here. The way that I'm going to install Debian is the most noob way possible. All right. And after I do that, I'm going to do another one using the VBox Manager command line tool, which I've never done. I'm looking forward to. And then after that, we'll think about some of these other methods, maybe Cube Spray or something like that. I want to explore all the ways to getting a running Linux machine. The reason that I picked Minikube for the boost over Docker Desktop now is because it gives you a lot of this for free. You get the virtual machine if you set up the VirtualBox as your driver, then you're already set up to start working with virtual machines, which is a core part of any technical career these days, including just plain old software development. You might not think so, but if you don't know how to manage, particularly security, right? You got to find that bugs in there. So knowing how to do a VM is super important. So the stuff I'm about to do now is just a refresh for myself. I have not installed a Debian image from scratch in probably 2 years. The images I usually install from scratch are usually Mint images. There is a Mint version that's based on Debian now. Did you see that? They dropped the Ubuntu dependency. They started saying it was Mint. It was all based on Mint. Mint Debian. Yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was interesting. They're done with Canonical as well. They're like, no more Snap for us. Meanwhile, I'm using Pop! OS, which is 100% Ubuntu. The nice thing about Vagrant is you can play a Vagrant file, do Vagrant up presto. Yeah. And you have a VM in minutes. I love Vagrant. I love studying what's up with Vagrant. I want to do that as well. But I also want to hit the basis for just a plain old run through the installation process, right? And God knows it takes a lot longer to do that. So we're going to download a distro here. Thank you for downloading Debian. Debian 11, it looks like we're at. So the ISO's coming. And it'll be here. It's 11.0. That's pretty cool. It's a .0 release. That's sort of terrifying. Beware the .0, they say. Because they haven't found the bugs yet. Is it dash alpha? Please tell me that doesn't say dash alpha. Oh God, AMD 64, thank God. I was gonna get worried. I was gonna get worried. Whew. All right, that's fine. Is there already? All right. So I'm just leaving it in my downloads. I'm not even going to move it because I don't want to take up too much space. Next. Select services. Next, done. And you already downloaded net install. Oh, net install. Yeah, I know. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the net install. I know. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Yes, it's the teeny tiny one, and then it pulls everything down from the net while it's running. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You love yak shaving? Whatever. So we're gonna add a new computer here. It's been so long since I've done this. I've showed hundreds of people how to do this, and I go to my computer. I was in the right place. I go to my downloads. Now add create. Did I do add? Oh, new. They changed it. Okay. So I'm going to say, what am I going to call this? Kate's control. I'm going to call this Kate's control for some reason. Actually, that's how I've learned most of what you do now today. So yeah, I like to put stuff in VirtualBox VMs. Actually, I have another place that I usually call VMs. It's in my home directory. Where is it? I'm not going to sell this. I don't see, oh, I'm just going to, I think it's just virtual machines. Virtual machines. Yeah. This is like my standard place to put stuff. What? How is it not there already? Create a new folder. Because I have VMware sometimes too. This is the thing. Then I know not to back it up. I don't need to back it up, right? Choose. You're telling me to click on create directory? Talk about backseating. The new Debian distro, the non-free version, is super buggy on the desktop side. Ugh. Yeah, Debian has never been a good desktop distro. I won't lie. It never has been. I've hated Debian for desktop. Why do you think I'm a Pop! OS user? I'm just gonna. I've given in. If you want a healthy desktop distro, you usually are going to be paying for proprietary shit. You just can't. You can't avoid it. I just people hate me for saying that, but I don't care. That's my life is much easier. Oracle 64-bit. What the fuck? No, God no. Why would you even list Oracle in here? I hate you. Did you see they tried to drop 32-bit support on Debian and Ubuntu or Debian? They got yelled at. The OVA image imported. Is the OVA image? I don't want to do that. I want to do the hard way. Yeah, I know. I know. So, okay, so I'm going to make sure that people know if they're new and they're watching this. So, if you want to install Linux into a virtual, okay, so virtual machines are files at the end of the day. And if you can get the right file that goes with the right virtual machine software, in this case, an OVA file, you can just load the file and run it and it'll just pop up and it's just on. There's no installation process. The way I'm doing it the longest way possible. I'm actually downloading, because this is the reason I'm doing it this way is because I know this is a public video. I have imagined there's a couple of beginners here watching this. The stuff that I am going to do is the same exact stuff that you would have to do to install it on new hardware. You'd have to go through the normal installation process. It's going to take tons of time longer, but it is true to how you would install Linux on hardware as well as software. So it's also the way I'm most familiar with. And then after this, if you want to, you can even save off your own OVA file snapshots and put them wherever. They're usually pretty big, but and put them somewhere. Kids, you can tar, XVA, and OVA. Yes, you can. You totally can. I think that's what I just said. Yep. And throw it away. Yep, you can. You can. But I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and do an actual install and go through the Debian installer. I kind of want to see how far the Debian installer has come. And this is a net install, right? Is that the one we downloaded? I think it is, yeah. A net install is just a tiny image that downloads really quickly and then downloads all the main stuff off the net while it's installing it, so that it doesn't take forever to do that. Here you do the memory allocation. I mean, this stuff, I've done this stuff a lot, but it's just good to review it. I'm going to put this down to memory size is 1024. It's like, you don't have any RAM here, dude. I have to make this 2048 because that's the minimum required, they said. So we'll do that. 350 megabytes, tiny. Yeah, it was pretty fucking tiny. 2048 megabytes. So that's the total amount of RAM. Remember, I don't have a lot of RAM on this. It's only got a 16. So click on that. Here's another thing. You can't undo RAM allocation and CPU allocation. Actually, CPU allocation you can. I don't think you can redo the other allocation. So hard disk. Create a virtual. Can you can't redo RAM, can you? What's someone you can't go down on? No, I might be confusing it with something else. I'm confusing it with my VMware sub, I think. Yeah. To shut down machines. Yeah. You need to shut down. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of having a virtual machine, right? Now, I'm mixing up partitioning for some reason. I don't know why I'm doing that. You can repartition too, but there's some things that are like pretty, you can't go back on. So like virtual disk size is one of them. I think I do. I think I'm confusing VDI. I absolutely am. Yeah, I mean, I feel stupid confusing those. They're not at all related. So the recommended size of hard disk is 8 gig. It didn't say the size of a hard drive in our suggestion here, did it? Gigabytes of RAM, 2 CPUs. I don't think it actually, and a total VMK. Yeah, that for sure. I know you can't go back on that. And that does chew up a lot of like hard disk space. So your hard drive becomes a file. It's a separate file, right? So you get the OVA file, which is like your virtual machine, and you get another file that's your disk. And that usually follows a standard that everybody can use. That's what they're asking here. Do not add virtual disk. Some people don't. You think 30 gig plus? Shit. I mean, I hope I have enough. I guess I do. An existing virtual disk. I don't want to do that either. But that's how you can share disk. If you have, it's like mounting in a hard drive. It's not, but that's equivalent to that. Create a virtual disk now. Yes. How do I need to give it its initial size. Use an existing, I don't know if I know. It's probably going to ask me. Yeah. VDI, VirtualBox disk image. The VMDK, those are the ones that's shared between VMware as you want. I'm just going to go ahead and use their standard internal one. Debian fat, not so fat. Kubelet 2, but images. Yeah, let's try. Dynamic allocated. This means it's not really huge at first, but as you add to it, it grows up to a certain size. We're not doing fixed size. Absolutely not doing fixed. So, I mean, I got a lot of stuff here. Let's select the size of virtual megabytes is the limit. Only the amount of files of data the virtual machine will be able to store on the hard drive. The virtual hard drive is in place. So I think this is a soft limit if I remember right. Right, guys? So what you put like 30 gig, and it doesn't start out as 30 gig. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So we'll do 30 gig and then create, but it'll grow up until 30 gig. So now I have Kubernetes, and when I started, it's going to ask me for the image. Actually, no, I think I need to put it in the ISA if I remember right. God, it's been so fucking long. USB controller. I think you have, I know it's smart enough to detect and ask you. It prompts you when you do it. Let's see. Tell me what it depends. How's it going, Henry? How you allocate it? Sparse by default on most now. Yeah. So we're going to do start, and this is going to say, what do you want to boot? This is actually just like a blue screen, right? The difference is that it's smart enough to say, hey, do you want to insert an ISO, right? And so I'm going to go actually find an ISO image to get. So I'm going to go, I don't know about that one. That's a new thing I've never seen before. That's kind of cool. I don't know what that is. I have a feeling Minikube added that. Yeah, it is. Look, Minikube ISO. I've never seen that. That's super cool. I'm going to add a new one though. It's from Minikube. It just said so. Yeah. Yep. Add. I'm going to go into my downloads, find this guy, and select that one. Yep. Okay. So now it's a net install. So we're going to go ahead and stop that. 377 it said megabytes. So it got raised up from 350. So this is exactly what you would see if you were installing on your laptop, after you figured your BIOS out and stuff. Graphic install. I didn't know they have a graphic install. I'm interested to see how their graphic install has come along. Did I get the server or the workstation? I think I got, oh, you know what? I know Davian has graphics. I know, but I think I downloaded the wrong image. I didn't download the server image. I want to say that I downloaded the desktop image. Is there a step? There is a step? That's interesting. So it's all the same. That is not how Ubuntu is. There is no server or desktop. I did not know that. Today I learned that Debian just has one image. I did not know that. I haven't installed Debian in over 5 years, 10 years. Thank you, Coven. So Coven and YouTube suggests the same thing as well. That there is no, it's just Debian. The fact that Debian has a graph, you can understand, this is why I'm doing this the long way, because I haven't installed a Debian image since, God, at least I would say 2011. Before, no, I did after Skillstack too, so it would have been 2014, 2013. Yeah. You can skip all packages to do minimal. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm really curious to see what a Debian graphic install looks like though. So I'm going to go for it. I mean, we got to do 3 of these, right? So we can try all 3 types. You have click the mouse inside a virtual machine. Be careful. Make sure you remember to put right click because we're going to take over control. We control the horizontal. We control the vertical. Boomer ref. I'm not a boomer. Is YOLO 10 years? Yeah. Plain old install never changed for decades. Wait, what's happening? My computer. Something is happening here. Oh, it's actually doing it. Why is this exactly what I would have expected? I have no control of anything. It didn't do anything. I have a feeling it's running, but I have no indication it's running at all. I'm like looking around at everything. No fans are on. Just use Slack or call it a day. Hit enter. I don't know how to hit enter. Fine. You told me this already. Capture. Wait. I can't see it because it's too small. I have no control. Wait. There we go. That was weird. Display help screen. Tell me how to do. Install with speech synthesis. I just noticed that. That's what you guys are talking about. Okay. I didn't see that before. That is crazy. You skip all that. Yes. I just like in Cali, like in Mint also. Yeah. Did I type E? Shut up. Did I actually? Is that a special thing? You know what? I probably did. Install graphics. Ooh. What? Like in Cali, it's a standard installer. Okay, let's do this. This is fun. Hi, Debian. God knows I love Debian. The people are a little weird, but oh well. English. We'll go with English. Continue. Hey, look, we can make a screenshot. That is so smart. Whoever added that, I don't know who added the screenshot button to the installer, but I'm going to personally send you like a month subscription to your favorite jelly beans or something. I don't know. I mean, that is such a great idea. United States. Yes, I am in the United States. Key map to use. What if I want to use more than one? There's a bunch of noobs are watching this going, oh my God, this dude. It's okay though. We're having fun. I don't install Linux distros every day like you all. Because I'm getting shit done. So there. All right. American English, please. We need music to go with this. That would just cross the streams too much. I mean, that would be guaranteed fail. If I put too much stuff, detect link, watching link address. Oh my God, the graphics are so enjoyable. They're so enjoyable. Can I full screen it? How about that? How about I full screen it? I feel that might be a bad choice. Let's see. By hitting full screen, you accept responsibility. Note that the host key is currently defined as right curl. The virtual machine window will now be switched to full screen mode. You can go back to windowed mode at any time by host F. And okay, all right, gotcha. I gotcha. Let the main window is in full screen mode. Alrighty. It makes it sound like I should be scared. There's not really anything useful to do there. I'm going back. All right. Well, technically you can, but you'd be surprised. What are you guys talking about? The screenshot? It says screenshot right here. See? I'm a little afraid to do it, but I think it's a great idea. When my dad installed Red Alert, he actually read the terms and conditions in front of you. I'm doing this more slowly because there's definitely people among us who've never done this, and so why not let them go through it? Plus, it's been a long time since I've done a Debian install. This is the first graphic Debian install I've ever done. So I'm going to say Kate's control is going to be the name. Going to be the name of this box. Can I have dashes in my host name? Yes, you can, right? Yeah, it's been a long time. The domain part, no domain for me. Do I need to put .local? Probably did. Virtual video adapter bind it to 80 by 600. Oh, right. Let's see. Set up users and passwords. Note that you will not be able to see the password as you type it. What's the root password? How about password? I don't know. I mean, this is a test box, so I don't want to have to remember it every time. So I'm going to type something simple. I don't know. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. It's also not secret, and I don't use it anywhere else. So. How about that? Is it going to let me do it? Oh no, my password is RWX. Now you can hack me. Make the click to checkbox underneath. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, my super secret password. Continue. A user account will be created for you to use instead of root because it's the right thing to do. Alrighty, fine. How about we do RX Rob so I can SSH and have it work? Is that okay? Yep. I did already. I did it. Oh, that's the actual name. All right. Choose a password for the user. Same thing. I mean, I told you, I don't care. It's going to be all localized. If you're doing this for real, obviously, but you're not. This is a virtual machine for learning. So what time? I'm Eastern time. That's no secret. Data. I mean, this is pretty cool because I could show people how to do Debian install. I should probably make a video about this at some point. Skip all this. You can skip what? Going to bounce. Yeah, bye, Tiny Ma. Thanks for stopping by. I'm also gonna bounce. I'm gonna go run here pretty soon. I'm gonna get this installed and then we'll see what's up. Just continue. Right. Guided. Use an entire disk. Yes, that's what we're gonna do. Uses yeah. Not gonna do manual on that. SCSI box. This is not a real SCSI device. This is a pretend SCSI device. That sometimes freaks beginners out when they see it. They think that's like, oh, I got a device I'm going to overwrite. No, it's a pretend device. All files in one partition, recommended for new users. Yes. Guided partitioning. No, we're going to just go buy this. This is all FDisk stuff. That's good to see that they still have the output though. No RAID. Does anybody do RAID anymore? Have you guys got any RAID running at home? I'm just curious. Disable swap. Did I not do it? Wait, did I? Right, change to this. No. I want to go back. Why is my swap on? Ooh, we want this off. configure software array, guided partitioning, SCSI. Oh, we can do after the install. That makes swap off is easy now that I know about it. Yeah, let's do that. I like that idea. Mostly because I don't know how. I don't know how their user interface works. Configure SCSI volume, encrypted volumes, software RAID. I can do this from fdisk. I know how to do this with fdisk. I can't do it from their fucking GUI. So, undo change partitions, finish partition. What changes to partitions? They added swap because you did auto entire disk. I absolutely did. Yeah, I didn't. There's no undo. I'm gonna go back. Partition disks. All right, I guess that's what we're on. So partition disk. SCSI. Guided partitioning. Yeah, I guess we can do that. I mean, I can do my own partition. This hangs up beginners all the time, so I don't want people to get confused. I remember being a beginner and going through this. It was annoying as hell. Oh God, LVM is so cool, but hard for beginners to do. It depends on the beginner, but use entire disk and set up encrypted LVM. We're gonna use entire disk. See, and then let's see if it gives us an option to do. Yep. Separate home, var, and temp partitions. All files in one partition. Separate home partitions. No, I don't want a separate home partition. Is it standard now? Yeah, IBM invented it. I remember using it with AIX. We've been using it. You guys use Smitty to allocate LVM volume blocks? Yeah, I was doing that. Seriously, I was doing that in 2002, 2001, 2002. Yeah, way before LVM hit Linux, which is really great. I'm glad they have it. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. This is an overview of current partition. Select the partition to modify its settings, file system endpoint, etc. A free space to create partitions, or select a device to partition table. All right, let's double click this. Oh, there we go. Swap area, use as. How about this? Delete the partition. What? It worked. Huzzah. Let's see. Automatically partition the free space. Create a partition. Show some information. No, come back. Oh, something funny that's causing me. Oh no, I don't know. I hope everything's fine. Continue. I mean, I don't know why it's free space. I don't want it to be free space. I want it to be unallocated. I clicked it. This one I could grow? Oh, I see what you're saying. This is like primary /log. I don't know what the fuck that is. This is different. It's like some sub-partition level. I feel like there's a configure encrypted kind of partitioning. Click on primary resize. Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to take it up though. Doesn't save partition. Resize. This is. I had no idea there was a graphics interface for this. This is interesting. It's all fdisk stuff. Nope. It's funny. It didn't say delete partition either. That was kind of weird. You think that it's probably something I just can't figure out. Delete Windows. This is where people delete Windows when they're setting up. You go to the manually partitioning from guided option. Yeah, I know. And that's why I don't like it. Delete and create again. I mean, I kind of want to just do the manual partitioning but I feel like this is going to be recovered because it doesn't have a partition. I feel like it's going to be recovered. I don't think it's going to be a problem because, yeah. I mean, maybe not. Yeah, because it says 31.2. Configure software RAID. The second is the left unallocated space for the swap you just deleted. Right. Yeah, I know what that is. So the problem with this is that it's a total allocated space, and so we have to delete this primary partition. Let's do that. We're doing manual partitioning. Let's do that. Watch. So we're going to delete the partition and end up doing the manual partitioning at the end of the day. So now we have all this free space. So now we've combined all of that. Now we can reallocate the whole thing to a new partition. So that's what people are saying. But this is all, I could have done this if I had done primary, if I had done like non-automatic, right? Primary, we're not using LVMs. So mount point, ext journal file system / ext4 is fine. Thank you very much. Wow, it's journaled. I thought, yeah, ext4 is fine. Done setting partition. All right. There we go. Yay. I can get an internet on my Arch install. You can't get an internet on your Arch because my Wi-Fi card isn't Linux supported. Oh God, are you using? You're stuck in what is it? What is it? What is the name of that hellish Wi-Fi manufacturer? It's not even hardware. It's hardware plus software. What is it? 3Com? Is it 3Com? Is UDP? Yeah. It's horrible. Yeah, there's a lot of laptops that don't have hardware that will support it. So we're going to continue. Done setting up partitions. Yes. Finish partition right to disk. Yes. If you do go back to the partition menu, assign swap partition, install, continue. Do you want to return to the partition menu? You have not selected any partition for swap. Enabling swap is recommended so that your system can be ready. This needs to change. They got to stop recommending this because the default should now be no swap these days. That is interesting that they would still say that. Yeah, did you see that? They like tried to block me. Most beginners are going to do that, and then they're going to get sucked because they're not going to be able to do it. So I have to talk them through this. So I'm glad I'm doing this. One of the reasons I'm doing this is I'm getting ready to talk beginners through it again. Did you see that? It said it recommended swap. It didn't say it needed it. The following partitions are going to be formatted. Swap is still needed? No, it is not needed. It is not needed. In fact, if it's needed, I won't be able to use it. That's the reason I'm doing this. Because this is for Kubernetes. Swap is, no, not for Kubernetes. Swap is, if you have swap on, you can't install kubeadm at all. Or any of the Kubernetes components. No, it doesn't. Systems don't run better with swap. That's a myth in 2021. In 2021, it's a myth. There's a lot of people who still believe that, including the Debian team who wrote the installer. And I happen to believe that it's nice in case something goes wrong or something. But it is definitely not a modern thing. On a desktop system, maybe, yeah, it makes more sense, obviously, a desktop system. But on what we're doing with this, it definitely is not, this just makes me want to write a virtual machine manager. This is painful. It is painful, Philip, but we're doing through it one at a time. Going through it very slowly. If you want to slam on Debian on there, then go for it. Swap just introduces uncertainty on my server. It is grinding to a halt all of a sudden. Apparently, many of the commenters that are here about whether we need swap or not were not here when they didn't read the part that says swap must be disabled to run a kubelet endpoint. So you can't even run a node that has swap at all. And that's what this is. This isn't a desktop install. So in case you guys are wondering, that's what's going on. And it's good. It's good to go through this for other people, for them to see the differences. I know how to partition. I know how to do all this stuff. I can use fdisk. I can do all this from the command line. I don't need to do this, but I'm trying to go through the graphic installer so I can talk other people through it if they're going to have to go through this way. After this, by the way, we still have to do 2 more VMs if you want to stay tuned. Maybe not today, but another. We're going to be installing all of the same thing, and we're going to do VBox Manager instead from the command line. We're not going to use the graphic interface at all. And we're going to associate it with an ISO and pull it all down. And then the third one will probably be just an OVA directly. The problem with an OVA is that it already has a bunch of selections that I might not be able to customize, and I don't want to do that. I want to be able to have full control of it because this is making a ton of assumptions about Debian as a desktop as opposed to a server, which are wrong, including the use of swap. After done, continue, click, done. That's one way to do it, is just disable swap after you do the whole thing. I get it, but I'm not doing it for speed. I'm doing it for understanding so people watching can understand. You have the Anaconda Center to recommend against using swap is You should change the Anaconda authoric against using swap. What does it say about the Anaconda installer? Anaconda is a piece of shit, by the way. And if any recommendations they have, I would immediately be suspect of them. Every single one. We're talking about an installer that actually fucks with your bash RC file. That's how fucking stupid the Anaconda team is. It's so fucking stupid. Don't get me started. They are so idiotic. I can't even stand it. It's a bunch of Python shitheads who don't know how to do anything. And I don't want anything to do with it. Continue. Well, how about I not? What are you going to do? Yell at me more? Philip in YouTube's like, this is painful. This is taking way too long. I don't want to watch this. I got other things to do. Get the fuck out. Philip, I don't give a shit. All right. So this is my stream. Please tell us how you really feel. It is really messed up. And most of the people that know me know why I feel that way. Yeah, we chill. We do things slowly here. That's just how we do things. Okay, so the following partitions, we can go ahead and we got it. Following partitions are going to be formatted, blah, 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 ext4. What's the difference between a journal file system? I don't know if we want to go through that now. Do we want to talk about journal file systems? Oh, no, it's like it's spinning. It's doing things without doing things. That always worries me. If I click on continue, it didn't do anything there for a second. That freaked me the fuck out. Okay, there you go. Finish partition, write to disk. We did that. Continue. Oh, do you want to return the program menu? Do you want to return the partition menu? No, I told you I don't. I already said I didn't. Yes. All right. There we go. Missed that one. Yay, disk partitioning. Nice. Don't you have a YouTube video where you explain why you think Anaconda is bad? I absolutely do. Yeah, they lost my respect as soon as they fucked with my bash RC. They could never do anything right after that. I don't care how much everything else is wonderful and everything. It's in the Jupyter Hub install that I did for Kubernetes. I have to install it because everybody uses it in machine learning. Dude, it is so bad that, and then I got looking at the design, and everybody was just going off on how horrible the Anaconda design is for distribution. And all I can think the whole time is statically compiled binaries. It's just such shit. It's so bad. You clone this VM after the install? I could, but I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm gonna do this exact same install using the VirtualBox manager from the command line. I'm gonna do the whole install from the command line if I can. I've never done that. I want to try that. That is new to me. That is legitimate noob territory for me. Scanning installation media finds label. You have the option of scanning additional media for use of the package manager. Additionally, should be no. I don't want to. If you want to scan more media, please insert it now. No, I do not. I do not want to do that. Want you to run in loops. They really do. That's why I wanted to. So Coven is like throwing shade on Debian for their graphic energy. This is why I picked the Debian graphic installer, because when we first opened it, like half of the old timers in here with me are like, wait, Debian has a graphic installer? We have to see this. This is not how they do things. So that's why we thought it would be fun. Ooh, my package manager. I will stick with this. Why not? HTTP proxy, don't need it. If I was in the enterprise, I would. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Configuring APT. I got to tell you, I'm a fan of the APT package manager. I like it more than Yum, and even Pacman doesn't make any sense to me. Not to mention all the extra fucking options you have to do for shit. I like APT because it uses verbs and it avoids options, and I really like that part about it. Full sense of entitlement. Yeah. It take 2 hours to install Linux on a VM, and he thinks he's teaching. Yeah. I'm going to report you for child abuse. There we go. Stop abusing me. Bye, Philip. Enjoy your shitty life. So yeah, hide user. There we go. Force. Let's see. This system may anonymously supply the distribution developer statistics about the most used packages of the system. Everyone's saying goodbye to you, by the way. They're all saying goodbye. So too bad had to just go off on like that. If you choose to participate, the automatic submission script will run once every week, sending statistics to the developers. No, that would be a bad idea. I can't do this because this isn't a desktop, so there would be no to that. I'll go ahead and put this here. All right, so let's go ahead and check this out. We see at the moment only the core of the system is installed to tune. Yes, this we know. I don't want GNOME. I don't fucking need it. See, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do all of this with VBox Manager next time, but I want to get a sense of what the graphic install looks like. Debian desktop environment. Nope, we don't need that at all. We don't. We better not. Yep, thank you. Guys are yelling at me for the DE option. I see that now. Standard system utilities. SSH server. Don't know if I need it. I didn't say that it did, but I would think it would need it. Yeah, I would think it would need it. We definitely don't. Do we need engine? I don't even know what web server this is. Do we need that for Envoy and shit? Envoy? You guys know what I'm talking about? Well, I know we need SSH as in general. That I know. Okay, so I don't want to hear about how to customize my desktop Debian config. That's not what I'm doing. This is a Kubernetes control plane node. And that's what I'm talking about. And I want to see if I need web servers for Envoy or any of that shit. And I don't know if I need it. I don't think I do. If I do need it, I can always add it later, right? SSH is pretty mandatory. In order for me to SSH into it, you know what? I don't need SSH. I'm leaving it off. Yeah, sue me. You know why I'm leaving it off? This is a test. This is a deliberate test. If it's a control plane node, I don't need it. If it's a control plane node, I should be able to kubectl exec into it and to be able to get to any of my pods and my nodes. Using that, I don't need SSH. Is that true? No, it's not, because I still need to SSH in to go see the logs, the var log stuff, which is not contained within Kubernetes stuff. This is the stuff I was talking about on the other a long time ago. I was talking about that. We're talking about how it's not enough to just put Kubernetes on a system and have it be managed. You still, like, for example, if you fill varlog messages and you blow out, your file system, it will take down your endpoint. It will take down your node. And you can't do that infrastructure management from Kubernetes, unfortunately. It's really annoying. And so, in fact, Vera is a really, really talented cloud native guy, was telling me about, I think it's Talos. I want to say it was Talos. It's a new operating system that has a read-only underlying file system on which it runs. It comes with a container distribution runtime, a container runtime, and then it runs on top of all of that. And then it does its own, because it's read-only, you don't ever have to SSH into it because it's never going to blow up on you. So the whole operating system, so this is why they hire infrastructure engineers and not just cloud native people, because you still need to be able to get to it, which means I still need SSH. All right. So that's the same as my login nodes. Okay. I'm just rubber ducking this. Rubber ducking this. That's what I do. Let's see. It's a LAMP server. It's not a LAMP server. Hell no. Talos is great. Written in Golang. Is it? Shit. Have you played with Talos, Black Mouse? I'm so jealous. Envious. Whatever. Seriously, I'm like legit jealous of you right now. I really want to play with Talos. Maybe we could put... Can I write one of my endpoints as Talos? Oh, my wife's back. Must be time for me to end. Okay, after this is done, I'm going to go talk to her and go running and shit. Maybe play Witcher after this or whatever. No, that would be jealous. Did I get it right? Thank you for helping me speak English. Non-native English speaker. You're absolutely right. It takes a non-native English speaker to help me understand English. Okay, so what do we see here? Oh my God, the grub bootloader. This always, every time I see this, it scares me, because how many of you out there have been around long enough to really fuck up your MBR? Yeah, do you dare admit it? Fucking up your MBR is one of the most heinous, horrible things you can do. You can totally break your hard drives. And you know how to fix it, right? You go copy, you DD off of another hard drive, the MBR that works, and then you get another hard drive and you mount it, and then you plug it in, and then you like DD straight to the device, like the MBR that you just put in a file from the other one, so you can get your hard drive to even show up on F disk again. Has anybody ever had to do that? Uninstall your bootloader. As a install the grub bootloader. It seems that there is a new installation. Is the only operating system on this computer. If show, it should be safe to install group loader on your primary drive UFA. No, fuck no. Fuck no. Warning, if your computer has another operating system that the installer failed to detect, this will make it suffering. Install a group bootloader on your primary drive. What do you guys vote? Oh, you got Talos? Sometimes Grub crashes. Yeah. You always have a copy of Linux on a thumb drive in case Grub crashes. You know what I'm talking about. You've been around the block long enough. Let's see. Uninstall bootloader. Go ahead. I think it's fine to uninstall the bootloader. Yeah. On a primary drive. I don't know. What do you guys think? If I put the bootloader in, it's not going to auto start. So I'm going to put no. I mean, I'm wondering what the normal server configuration for this is. We're not making a desktop again, right? Multiple thumb drives in case one of them gets corrupted. You want the bootloader. I mean, we need a bootloader, but install the boot in your primary drive. I mean, I only have the one drive, so who the fuck cares? Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Enter device manually. Yes, I don't think you'll boot otherwise. Yes, true. I keep forgetting that. Yeah, just because you have grub doesn't mean it's going to stall out on it, right? This is a server, and I feel like a lot of these questions are related to like desktop stuff, and I'm definitely going to avoid these things by setting up my own VBox manager, and then I'll use KubeSpray or something for making my own, not KubeSpray, but some other way for Ansible, maybe just a script or something. Enter device manually, so that's the only device, so we'll keep with that one. Make sure that's not your hard drive. I mean, your actual hard drive. It won't be, but yeah, I know. I know what to pick. Thank you. Debian, how are you? Old as fuck. Debian is still old as fuck. I love Debian. You gotta admit. Installation is complete, so it's time to boot into your new system. Huzzah. Make sure to remove the installation media so that there is no installation media. K3S uses Talos. Does it really? Oh. When I want to know, can I use Talos for my worker node? I want to use Talos for my worker node. I bet I could. You know, if I do it as a VM, I can just turn it off and then turn it on and try them out, you know? In fact, oh my God. There's no reason I can't have multiple VMs, all with different operating systems, and just turn them off, and then it'll just be nodes that are not connected to the it's just like, you know, RAID 5, but for Kubernetes, right? You just take one. I got to do that. Then I can actually add a Talos. I can add a Talos VM and add it in like slowly. Yes, I'm definitely going to do that. That's a great idea. You can use Zen for that. I know, but I'm using VirtualBox on purpose because this is, if you use Zen, guys, yeah, I could definitely use Zen for that. I'm probably going to use Zen and Kimu. They're not the same, I know, but I want to use those next. Well, the reason I'm using VirtualBox, in case everybody keeps on me about this, the reason I'm using VirtualBox is because I am still doing stuff that I want to convey across operating systems for the most part. Even though all of this stuff could be done much faster from the command line using Zen, or that kind of thing. But I'm intrigued with this because I'm using VirtualBox as a driver. I'm using VirtualBox for everything in general because it plays into my bigger plan that I described quite at length on Friday about helping beginners learn. Step 1, install VirtualBox. Step 2, install Minikube. Step 3, SSH into Minikube and learn the command line. Right. Step 4, install a Linux distro of your choice to choose into VirtualBox using the graphic installer. Get used to how to install it, partition, all that shit. And then do that like 10 other times for every other distro you want, including Arch. Get used to them all, play with them all. Now go find some hardware and do the same thing. So that's the progression of learning, and that's why you see me spending so much time on VirtualBox as opposed to Zen and all the other Linux only options, which are much. Jenny, She called me an Oracle fanboy. That's not even funny. Step 1, understand anything of what you just said. Step 2, do step 1. Right. I mean, you'll get there, but that's so for the advanced people, they want to know why the fuck I'm spending all this time. I'm not using Zen and Kimu and, whatever, which I actually still want to learn as well. I don't use those every day. I think it'd be a good thing. Show your Java distro in the chat. Stop fighting. I don't have a Java distro. Installation is complete. Continue. All right, here we go. Oh my God, it's an actual boot prompt. Oracle VM. See, I was afraid of this. Here's our boot manager. Oh, it did it great. It picked it, so we don't have to wait around. I don't have a Java. This is a Java distro. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the net appliances that came out in '98? built into Oracle Linux. Oracle Linux. Oh my God. Did you see that was an option? Huzzah. There we go. So it has SSH in it. The question is, can I log into it? I mean, do you guys know about, God, what's the service? Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Avahi. Do you guys know Avahi? Avahi is fucking awesome. If you're running a local network of systems, Avahi will detect the host name and add .local to the end of it and automatically do the DNS resolution across everything without using DNS. It gets involved in it. Do you guys know about it? Avahi client is so cool. Actually, Mac uses it. Mac uses it by default. The Avahi stuff's on Mac by default. That's why when you have a Mac, you bring up a Mac laptop and you enable SSH, it immediately appears on your entire local subnet as that computer.local. It's pretty damn cool. VBox is made by Oracle. Not made by, they were bought. They were bought by Oracle. Yeah. Which is why you can, without regret, you can say it's actually good software. I don't know what the IP is here or anything. Could probably, get it off the command line fast enough. I am going to quit here. So we actually have let's just log in. How about that first? So, Numlock is definitely not on. I turned it. All right, fine. Do. Yay. We have a system. SSH. We have. No, ifconfig. What the hell? Okay, so it thinks it's 10.02. Did I not do NAT? I think I didn't. Shit. We need to figure out if we're going to do NAT. This is the thing. I didn't say what Minikube does. Does the Minikube... Wait. Does it do NAT or does it do peer networking? Do you guys know by default? I know ifconfig is old school. It's still built into me. I know. Oh my God. You people. All right, let me get out of here. Where is... No. Why are you still doing that? I'm not typing on you anymore. I still got control of my keyboard somehow. I'm going to close that. Save the machine state. Cancel. Actually, what I'm looking for is it peer or natted? Net tools will forever be a thing, kids. Like, you're supposed to do the natting. I was going to say, do you think... Yeah. I'm just wondering, if Minikube sets up, whether it does natted. I'm trying to get back to the host. Let me freeze this guy for a second. Yeah, let's see that. So, purposes to close. We're going to close that. Save machine state. Okay, fine. What I'm trying to do is, when you set up Minikube, it actually does all this stuff for you. So I could actually probably pilfer from what it does. That's what I was talking about. So this has been powered off, and I'm trying to see what its networking setup is. Is Minikube natted? And port forwards? VirtualBox defaults to NAT. Yeah, this I knew. That's why, but NAT can sometimes ruin your day when you're like in a peered environment and you're trying to. We used to do this all the time, and we would try to do like CTFs and stuff, and people couldn't get to each other because they were natted. And so I was just curious to see if there was some reason Minikube wasn't using natting. And nobody knows what natting is because a lot of people don't know what natting is because they don't know, network engineering, which is why we have to cover network engineering too, right? There's a web page that has terrible documentation as to what Kubernetes is. It's info. How's it going, Doppelgangster? Were you the one telling me the multiple clicks, the 5 clicks to Witcher, or was it Jalopy? I can't remember. One of you was. Oh, Doppelgangster. Were you the one playing RTFM? Hell yeah. Old people unite. So here we go. We got the network parameterized virtual NAT. Yep, there it is. It's definitely NAT. That's what I wanted. So it's the same. See, it's NAT. It's cool. It has 2 adapters. That's weird. I didn't notice that before. It's got 2 adapters. Why does it have an extra adapter? It doesn't need it. I cannot wait to do VBox Manager. I'm gonna have to do some of that tomorrow night. I really am looking forward to VBox Manager and seeing how it does all this. I mean, it's probably gonna have to take a frozen image. That's what I'm guessing it did. It probably uses Minikube. Probably, I need to look for the Minikube source and see what it does. I have a feeling it probably uses a frozen image automatically, like an OVA or something. I bet that's it. I bet it uses an OVA image and it just uses that one as it's configured and it just says VBox activated. I humbly suggest you peruse the appropriate documentation. What does RTM stand for? That. I see VirtualBox interface is still stuck in 2009. Yeah, it is. It is for anybody who's interested in graphic interfaces, and Jenny would know about stuff. So yeah, I mean, as well as other things like backbone networking. Yeah, I don't RTFM when the FM doesn't make sense. That is the greatest T-shirt right there. RTFM question mark. I don't RT when the FM doesn't make sense. I love that. That's like really lame, but I love it. I'm just talking here. I'm not really doing anything, so I'm gonna go away now. I am gonna power this off though, so it doesn't take up my CPU. You can snapshot these. VirtualBox, in case if you don't know, using a virtual machine like this is a fantastic way to learn because you can like make incremental adaptations and then save it. You can do the same thing with containers to a degree, but not to the same degree as a virtual machine. So if you're willing to throw away a CPU or 2 just for being able to do this, Teespring it, make a shirt. Is that your preferred method for shirts? I've been trying to find a good one. Teespring? I'll Teespring it, right? Turn the radio on and tune in. Lol. Okay, so what are we doing? We're starting this so that I can power it off. Oh, a headless start. That's new. They didn't have that before. That's how long I've since I used the graphic interface. Restoring image. Huzzah. I would like to turn you off now. I'm going to hard power you off. I'm going to do the worst thing possible. I wonder if Minikube actually like does a shutdown -h now or whatever. I wonder if it does the right thing instead of just pull the plug. I just fucking pull the plug right there. And it will still be allocated. This is true. Yes, you have to power it off, or it's true. Yep. It's not frozen, right? It doesn't freeze all of it. I think I think the memory. No, the memory's deallocated because it saves it. Minikube shuts down, a proper shutdown. Yeah, I was gonna say. It does it. Yeah, but it probably does a shutdown -h. I'm guessing. We'd have to go through the source code to figure that out. But I'm just curious. I'm super curious to see how Minikube works because there's a lot of lessons you could create in there about how to create other educational systems that are not using Minikube. So one of the systems that I actually want to make out of this when this whole thing is over is I want to be able to provision actual virtual machines using kubeadm and etcd and all that without Minikube, but that have all of the stuff that you might want to practice on. And I want to put that in like a bash script or something initially, and then we'll do some of the stuff. Because I So there's actually a real part of me that wants to dig through the Minikube source and figure out how they're doing it, because I'm gonna try it. There's yeah, well, I'm building my own virtual machine lab. And so, but I think that there's a space yet to be filled in the learning environment area that I kind of live in, which is involved with so you have kind of Minikube, which serve a very specific purpose, and then you have like full deployment in the cloud or virtual machines or hardware, Raspberry Pis, whatever. And I think that there's a space in between there that could use some handholding for a beginner like me, that would be like, okay, step 1, install Oracle VirtualBox, right? Step 2, run the script, and it will create, it'll check your amount of RAM. It'll say you have this much RAM. Okay, this is going to make these 3 machines for you, and it's going to have, and that's like what Vagrant does. That's what all of those other, there's a million tools that already do this, but if we could write a tool that kind of addresses, so we have kind Minikube, blank, and then, full deployment. And if we had that blank in between or filled, I think that would help. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And then that's making opinionated decisions about, okay, well, let's have 4 nodes, right? Let's have 3 nodes with 2 gig each and two CPUs or something like that. It's just Vagrant's just a VBox wrapper. Yeah, I know. You have to install VBox first. Just use Vagrant and or directly from Terraform. I was also suggesting Terraform as well. You can also debug your VMs with libVMI. I did not know that. There's virtual machines. You can what? You can debug. There's an API for introspection for like reflection or something. Ansible is probably the one that I'm going to go with, because I feel like it's the most universal. I feel like Ansible is the most universal deployment tool right now. That's not Terraform. And Vagrant, of course, is just for virtual machine deployments, localized virtual machines. Ansible, here, ultimately, what it comes down to is what kind of skills do I want to help people learn besides, and that I want to learn that are going to be relevant. Terraform, what are you talking about? Ansible is Terraform? libvirt. Yeah.
Would you like to have coffee with your wife?
Yes, I'm going to have coffee right now. I'm just running down my stream right here. I'm about done here. I'm going to go run after that. How are you, beautiful? Come on over. I know this is.
Look, our gray hair.
I know you have awesome gray hair. I love your gray hair. You're a gray hair. That's what I have to say. Instead of gray beard, we need to start saying gray hair. What are you doing?
It's your gray hair.
I know, it's like this. It's like different though. Yours is darker. Yours is like better. Is that my daughter? Jenny says.
Ha ha.
Ha ha. So.
More like AARP represent.
AARP unite.
Oh, which is I have a story to tell you after.
Okay. All right. Time for me to have fun. Not that this hasn't been fun. Bye. I'll put the chill up on just to bother you. I'm gonna kill the YouTube stream. Sorry, guys. I have to so that this live to the thing will save. Then I'll bring stream back up later. She did. She absolutely said AARP represent. Did you say AARP?
AARP.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't like Ansible? Well, we'll fight about that another day. So, all right, YouTubers are gone.